Welcome to Nothing But Nets. I got a full panel today. Everyone wants to get in on the disaster that was last night in Brooklyn against the pathetic Utah Jazz, and just a really, really awful showing by the Brooklyn Nets. One of the worst of the year. It's just bad, ugly, unwatchable basketball. Lots of things I want to get into, but I'm joined by Dylan, I'm joined by John, and I'm joined by LB. Dylan, I'll start with you and I'll go around. Introduce yourself and tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for having me on again. If you haven't yet already, please feel free to subscribe to us at the BK Network Podcast over on YouTube, also the BK Network Pod on Twitter. And if you also want the most reliable, fastest news source for all things Brooklyn Nets, feel free to follow me on Instagram at NetsPress, one of the last, if not the last, actual consistent Nets pages over there. So if you want the most reliable news at the quickest time frame you can get them, feel free to follow me over there.
John?
Happy holidays, everybody. Gary, Dylan, LBL. It's always fun talking fun basketball with you. To anybody who wants to talk fun basketball with me, you can follow me on my Twitter at OS91413 John. I've done work on the BKNY Hoop Show, Dylan's BK Network Pod, Breezy's podcast, and Gary's Nothing But Nets, because I'm everything Brooklyn Nets John. And we definitely could have a fun discussion today, that's for sure.
And last but not least, my boy, LBL. It's been a while, man. How you been? How's it going? You're muted.
LB,
LB,
you're muted again.
You're muted.
Take 11.
LB, you're muted, my man. You're muted.
Oh, I was imagining that John was probably jumping out of his chair yesterday. So happy we were losing.
I wasn't jumping, but I definitely did like a strut, like a signature strut.
I was doing backflips. I can't lie. I was doing backflips. I can't do backflips, but I was doing them.
All right, but I'm all over Twitter. I'm always fighting everyone on Twitter. I try not to, but hey, that's the nature of the beast. So let's get into this show.
All right, before we get started, my condolences to Ricky Henderson and his family, one of the 5 greatest baseball players I've ever seen in my life. It's a loss. One of them, besides Prime Bonds, I would say Ricky Henderson was the most dominant player I ever saw in my life. He changed the game. He was a one-man terror on the base pads. Condolences to Ricky Henderson and his family. 65 years old, much too young.
My all-time favorite player.
Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson was great, man.
Based on what happened with the Hall of Fame, I'm thinking about making the trip to see Dave Parker go in, because he's another.
Dave Parker get in the Hall of Fame?
It was Parker and Rich and Dick Allen.
Okay, all right.
So I'm thinking about traveling up there to see them. I mean,
That's cool.
Allen's gone, but for Parker, and like I said, Ricky Henderson, man. You think about I was always a long-time Yankee fan, and 79 was such a horrible year for me because we lost Thurman Munson, and then on my birthday they traded my favorite Yankee, Mickey Rivers. So then 5 years later to get Ricky Henderson, when we got Ricky Henderson, I was just ecstatic. It was like, man, my favorite player on my favorite team. Too bad we couldn't keep him because Piniella said he was jaking it, but hey.
These kids don't understand the station to station home run. They don't understand how good Ricky was. He changed the game. Like, he changed your approach. He was something different. Like, you couldn't pitch to him because he hit 300. But if you walk him, he was stealing second and third. And then a ground ball or a fly ball, he brought him home. He's the all-time, Ricky Henderson was a nightmare. And he could hit 20 homers too. Like, he was an absolute perfect baseball player for 20 plus years.
Can you imagine the amount of steals he would get with the bigger bases, and you could only throw over 3 times?
Yeah. It'd be unstoppable with the new rules.
And you know what? You know what's unique about him? He's kind of like LeBron, because right-hand hitter, but lefty doing everything else.
That's the lefty, yeah.
And LeBron's the same way. LeBron shoots right-handed, but he's actually left-handed.
And Oscar De La Hoya was the opposite. Oscar De La Hoya was actually left-hander, and he boxed right-handed. That's why his jab and his left hook were his best shots, because actually his power hands. All right, let's get into it. That was an absolute disgrace last night in Brooklyn. I'm disgusted. I'm gonna watch because I'm a sicko, but I actually don't want to watch any more Brooklyn Net basketball after that. Just to give you some of the stats on that, they shot 40% from the field, 7 for 40 from 3, 7 for 40. At least they made their free throws. I mean, this was as ugly as it gets. No one played well. The starting lineup was Cam Johnson, Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton, Keon Johnson, and Ben Simmons. Well, let me start with Dylan, because I think he's going to like this. Dylan, I'm disgusted by what I saw. I don't know that this team wins the G League championship, honestly. What were your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Well, I mean, for starters, I want to give a huge shout out to Ben Simmons. So many people give him shit. I've been one of those guys who, I'm never going to put a player down for being injured, and he really has been injured. So to see him come out and put up 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, the efficiencies weren't there from the field, but his free throw percentage was incredible. That was probably the best free throw shooting game we've seen from him in a very long time. So I was excited to see that. It was fun to watch. He looked great on both ends of the floor. But outside of that, everybody played like shit. And I'm not going to lie, I've been wanting a game like this just simply because I'm so sick and tired of meaningless wins. I continue to say this. I'm not a person that shoots for mediocrity. I pick a direction, be great or be shit. And in a year where you have a draft class of this caliber, there's no reason to be upset with being shit. So I enjoyed it. I think it was a loss that was very much so needed, especially after coming out on top of Toronto after a Cam Johnson masterclass that should never have happened. And our next 10 games look like hell. I mean, every single team we play is a playoff team as of right now, if not a play-in team. So it's going to be an interesting stretch. I see 1-9, hopefully, and I think that puts us in position to move off of Cam Johnson and DFS as soon as possible to secure this potential top 3 pick that we're looking for. So I'm excited.
John, let me get to you next. And then I got 2 questions for you after John goes. John, this was a disgrace. This is horrible. What were your thoughts on this? Were you happy? Like, were you saying, okay, this is the rest of the way, the way the season's going to go the rest of the way? Or what was your takeaway from this disaster?
Gary, the best way to describe this is disgustingly beautiful. I mean, it was so horrible that it just wasn't going to work. I mean, you look at the rotation, right? You had 4 out of 5 non-scorers. If Coach Jordy would have won the game yesterday with Clowney, Claxton, Ben Simmons, and Keon Johnson, and you're starting 5 with Johnson, your only real scorer, if he would have won last night, Jordy would have been Coach of the Year, man. I mean, he's managed to take any type of spare part, things that are not supposed to work in a unit, and somehow he's been able to get all these wins that we weren't expecting. So if he would have pulled that off last night, Coach Jordy's a coach here as far as I'm concerned. But it didn't. Like you said, 7 from 40 from 3, that's not going to get you anywhere. Listen, it's a little 3-game run. He hit a fadeaway mid-range shot. I thought my screen froze when he did that. I'm like, Ben Simmons hitting a mid-range shot from like more than 10 feet away? You're really ever going to see something like that. So for all the Ben fans out there, you probably got an early Christmas gift there. Keon Johnson, he had 8 rebounds. Surprising, he was the best rebounder in that starting unit. Sharp, he gave you 9 rebounds off the bench. Other than that, yeah, just guys weren't in rhythm last night. It's hard to score the ball when you don't have a lot of scorers on this team. Without Thomas, without Schroeder, it's really Cam Johnson and a bunch of guys that can either, hit you some lobs or get you a layup here or there, but you really don't have a lot of pure scorers on this team. So you're going to get results like that. And I know for the people who are like, you never want to lose on your home court to any type of talent, let's remember this. If we beat these lottery teams up, we're doing ourselves a disservice. We're making their draft odds better and making ours worse. So the fact we lost yesterday to the Utah Jazz, that actually gives us a better chance of getting in that top 5. And we're now out of the play-in seed technically at the moment. We're in the 11th seed. So I know for people who don't want to lose to teams that you feel like you should beat, at the end of the day, why are we going to beat these lottery teams and ruin our chances to get a top pick? You got the result you needed yesterday, which is you didn't beat that team. Now you have a chance to potentially get now in the top 5 for having a bad record. So I know people don't want to lose to teams like that, but at the end of the day, what do these meaningless wins get you? Like me and Dylan keep saying, they get you nowhere. They get you the 15th or 18th pick. And meanwhile, all these other top prospects go to other bottom-tier teams whose trajectories might get better, and we miss out because of that. So I know people are upset about that. They're upset about the losing that's going to come. But guys, January is like a week away. And then before you know it, trade deadline, before you know it, the draft combine, the draft selection, it's going to speed up a lot quicker than people think. And if you're Brooklyn, you want to be one of those top lottery teams. You don't want to be a mediocre playing team drawing 20th in the lottery. That's for sure.
LBL, let me get to you. We've had some debates on the tank. I want your thoughts on this first, and then I want to ask you about Keon Johnson at that, because I know you're a Keon Johnson supporter. But first, give me your thoughts on the game real quick, LBL.
Well, to be honest, I didn't get a chance to see it. So I was watching college basketball, and then
good decision.
Taken away from something. I was watching the UNC game, and I was watching another game. I saw the Rutgers as well. You know,
that was a hell of a game, by the way. That was a hell of a game.
Very good game.
But in terms of them losing, it's like, wow, it's like they did what they were supposed to do. So I'm not really upset. You know.
I want to ask you about Keon Johnson. You've been a Keon Johnson supporter. I liked some of what Keon offers. He's an athlete. Like I said, he's a guard. He grabbed 8 rebounds in 21 minutes, which is excellent for a guard. He's 3 of 14. He offers you nothing, 0 of 9 from 3, and he's starting. This is you have 2 other non-scorers in the lineup, in Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton. Is this sustainable? Can we keep playing him with that unit? Like, he's very bad offensively. Claxton and Simmons can't score. I know that Jordy likes the energy. I get it. He likes the athleticism. I get it. But this is brutal. Like, can he continue to be in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, like, if you're wondering what I'm wondering, and that is, does Jordy know where the offense is coming from? Because I don't know. Maybe I'm a guy that doesn't believe in everyone shares the ball and everyone gets, a chance at shooting, and everybody just passes the ball. When the ball is moving, it's a fine-tuned offense, and everyone. I think you need legitimate go-to guys in order to win. I know that there are some teams that have scorers, and there are some that have a more balanced attack, like the Larry Brown Pistons and stuff. But I really feel like you need a go-to guy, and with Cam Thomas out, we don't really have that. So what you're saying is, why is this guy, why is he playing why is he playing 3 guys that are hard pressed to score? I got to tell you, it's brutal to watch when you go through those 5 and 7 and 10-minute intervals where we just can't score. It's brutal to watch, and especially if
it's
just
turnovers too. It's like missing shots is one thing, but then it's like Cam Johnson doesn't really handle the ball. Somehow he turns the ball over all the time. It's like, how are you turning the ball over, Cam Johnson? Like, all you do is shoot and sit threes. Like, this is like so hard to watch. It is so hard to be a fan of this team. Let me get to. I'll go to John next. John, the turnovers. Keon Johnson shooting 0 of 9 from 3. Can Keon continue to be in the starting lineup?
Well, let's remember, Gary, he's a placeholder for Cam Thomas. Thomas might be back in a week or 2 weeks. Once he comes back, Johnson is likely going back to a bench role. He's doing this right now because Jordy believes in him, and he thinks that he could be a scrappy defender to keep the energy up. That's pretty much why Johnson's in the starting lineup, mostly because Thomas isn't available right now. So once he comes back, Johnson moves to the bench. I know you brought up Cam Johnson. He actually had 5 assists last night. He had the second most assists behind Ben Simmons' 10 assists. So I know Johnson wasn't hitting much last night, but he was trying to be a facilitator some points of the game. And this is also a worry with me. Cam Johnson played 38 minutes last night. Like, I understand you want to get his value up, but his value's already gone up as much as it can, and now you're in trade deadline season. So maybe don't play Johnson 38 minutes a night, because if he starts having goose egg games, then teams going to be like, you know what, Johnson had a good month, but he also had a second bad month, so maybe I'm not going to give you an extra first 4. Maybe I'll give you a protected first. Like, you don't want to be playing Johnson all these meaningless extra minutes for his value to go down. You want Jalen Wilson to get up to 30 minutes. He played 23 last night. Day'Ron Sharpe should be at like 25 and not 19. So, it'd be nice if Coach Jordy doesn't run Johnson into the ground before he gets traded. I think that's something I'm a little upset with because his value has gone up as much as it can. But now's the point where you can rest Johnson some minutes. I know they did with Doe last night. He had a calf contusion. He's not injured. But, you got to start resting your two main vets, but you do want to trade them. And these young guys are aching for minutes right now on the court. So hopefully that's something that we'll see change a little bit because Johnson didn't have a good performance yesterday. He still got 18 points up, but he was mostly abysmal for those first 3 quarters of the game. And you don't want his value to start going down. So hopefully Jordy can figure that balance out because these young guys are all going to get their minutes eventually, like Keon Johnson is right now, just because this is the way it's supposed to go. For a goal to get a top pick, these young guys need to go through adversity and build up their own little resumes here or there. It's just part of the rebuild. And at the end of the day, what can you do, Gary? This is the team that we got. We can't just wave a magic wand and all-stars.
You can start Shake Milton. You can start Shake Milton. You could start Jalen Wilson. You can start a lot of guys. You can start a bunch of different
I agree
guys.
with you.
But start Keon Johnson.
I agree with you, but this is the way Jordy's running the system right now, and he believes in Keon. And at the end of the day, if it leads to losses against a lot of your teams, I'm not upset about it. I'll be fine.
So,
I'll live with that result.
Why not start Reese Beekman then, right? If it's about starting, I'm being serious. If you're trying, if your goal is to lose, why not start Reese Beekman at center? I'm being serious.
He has a left knee sprain.
It's painful to watch with those 3 guys on the court together. It's painful. Like Shake Milton can put the ball in the basket to some degree. Keon Johnson can't. Ben Simmons can't. Nick Claxton can't. It's like this is tough to watch.
I
that's
agree.
What the season's supposed to be.
Yeah,
the season isn't supposed to be all like sunshine and rainbows and everybody doing great. At the end of the day, when you're a rebuilding team, why not start
Tariq Whitehead then? Why not start Tariq Whitehead?
Well,
I'm being serious. If you want to lose, why not start Tariq Whitehead?
Did you see the article? Did you see the article?
What article?
Tariq Whitehead requested to stay in the G League because he wants to get more reps so he can be 100%.
No, I saw that. I did see
so,
that.
I mean, that's a very mature approach from him, too. He's pretty much wasting an entire NBA season to solidify himself as a go-to guy next season to be ready and healthy. So I actually loved the approach that he took. I said it at the beginning of the season that he didn't look fully NBA ready or back to full health, so he should have sat in the G League for at least half of the season, and he went out of his way to say that he should stay for the whole season. So I don't hate it. But I mean, at the end of the day, Nick Claxton has shown offensively and defensively that he really just can't keep up with some of these bigs. So you really can't expect him to do too much. Noah Clowney improving day by day. He took a pretty nasty fall last night, so I'm expecting him to be out tomorrow. But, if he does play, he plays. And if so, you get to see some more improvements from him. Jalen Wilson has looked solid. Once Cam Thomas comes back, you're going to start seeing a little bit more high-scoring games. But again, defense is probably going to fall off a bit. Either way, though, this team doesn't have a right to be in any of these games for the most part that they have been in. And you're starting to see now what it looks like when you don't have certain veterans on the team, which is perfectly fine. Like like I've been saying, I would rather see I wouldn't have a problem with this team winning games if it's Cam Thomas or Jalen Wilson or Noah Clowney or Nick Claxton putting up the numbers that Dennis Schroeder and Cam Johnson have been putting up and winning games rather than the veterans doing it, because the veterans have no place on this team moving forward. So we don't want to see them winning games for us when we're supposed to be losing to build a better roster around our younger players. So that's where I'm at with it.
Let me get into this. Ben Simmons is now the starting point guard. He's the point guard. So now you're going to start every game with Simmons and Claxton, and they're going to play lots of minutes together. Simmons and Claxton together. The dynamic has shown to not really work, and I was open to trying it again this year. And look, this is as much to blame on Claxton as it is on Simmons. It's not one or the other. It's the combination of the two together. It doesn't work, and it clogs things up. What are your thoughts on, that's what we're going to go with now? Simmons, who has no future on this team, is going to be a starting point guard to go along with Claxton, 2 guys who can't score from more than 3 feet away from the basket. Dylan,
Me?
I'll start with you. Yeah, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't like when Simmons is playing next to Claxton because I feel like it ruins any ability of Claxton able to improve his offensive ability. But at the same time, there's no other options. And again, realistically, I've said this numerous times now, some of the people that I've spoken to have already hinted to me that Ben Simmons and Bojan Bogdanovic are the buyout candidates. At some point in the season, one of them will be bought out. And at some point in the season, Killian Hayes will likely be brought up. So we're still waiting on that. But for now, I mean, if Ben Simmons is your 10 commander and we're losing games with him, I don't care. We got to pick up on some of these losses that we should have had earlier in the season. Realistically, we should be at like the 6 through 8 win mark, and somehow, some way, we're at 11. That's a big difference if you look at the pace of the end of the season wins. You know, if we would have won last night's game, we would have been on pace for 33 wins. And if we had lost to Toronto and lost against Utah, we would have been on pace to win 24 games. So there's a big difference in each and every win, which is why I stress every single day how important it is to lose some of these games. You know, you want to play competitively against a good team, lose in the end, I'm all for it. But when you're playing some of these bottom tier teams that have already kind of bought into themselves tanking, you have to try and lose some of these games. You have to make up ground for what you ruined. And again, at the end of the day, I'd rather have the best chance at a top 3 pick and not get it than putting ourselves in a position not to get it and still not getting it. So that's where I'm at. I've seen too many years of this team where they've been in a position to win and they can't. I have not seen them in a final since I was 1 year old. I'm 23. I'm tired. I don't care anymore. It's like the same thing. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I'm so used to winning as a Steelers fan. I don't care about making the wild card anymore because we've lost 6 of the last 7 years in the wild card. You know, I don't care about that. Make a playoff game, win a playoff series, then I'll be, you know, okay, now we're ready to win. But until then, do this thing the right way. Every pick that we have had that has been top 5 projected has landed in the top 3. Boston, 2 of them, Portland, 1 of them, Houston, 1 of them. And the last time that we drafted within the top 3, we traded that player for Darren Williams. So again, at some point you have to just sit back and understand that landing a top 3 pick for this organization is more important than going out and spending money on a guy like Brandon Ingram or Jimmy Butler next offseason. Because if Marks is put in a position to where he feels like this team's over succeeding and is only a piece or 2 away, he is going to fuck this thing up and spend money on players that we shouldn't be grabbing. So.
I want to get into that in a minute first. But first, I want to address this thing that Ben Simmons played well yesterday. Okay, Ben Simmons. That's just to be factual. He was 5 of 11 in 29 minutes with 6 turnovers. Do you have any idea how bad of an offensive stat line that is? First, he's taking all of his shots from within 5 feet, and he's hitting 45% of them at point blank range. And he turned the ball over 6 times. It's like, what part of that is good? This idea that Ben Simmons playing better is Ben Simmons playing good is a mental illness at this point. That's not good. That's horrible. That is so inefficient and such a liability offensively. Like, I don't even 6 turnovers and 45% shooting at point blank range. You know how many easy makeable shots he missed right in front of the rim? Well, 6 apparently.
Gary, John. You know what I wrote on Twitter last night? I said, for one night only, Ben Simmons finally got to be the franchise player for Brooklyn. Everybody really loved that one. Listen, at the end of the day, he's on a little 3-game streak. He knocked Lauri Markkanen on his butt yesterday. He got to the free throw line. He made 5 free throws last night out of 6. Hey, let's give that a round of applause. One of Ben Simmons' biggest weaknesses. He actually did decent.
John. You're an NBA player. You're supposed to make your free throws. I have a son who's 8, who's got special needs, right? When he makes a free throw, everyone claps and cheers for him like it's the greatest thing they ever saw in their life. That's how you're treating Ben Simmons. He's an NBA player making $40 million a year. It's not a big deal that he made free throws.
Gary, I agree with you. The fact he made a mid-range shot yesterday, I was like, what the hell? Like, that's the bad thing about Ben Simmons' career. When he does these things, people are surprised. And I'm like, he's a former first-round draft pick. If people are surprised when he does stuff like that, it means that you were completely wrong with believing he could ever be on a level like LeBron. Unfortunately, he's never come to that level. But now I think he understands, like, you know, if he wants to be in the league next year, he's got to show he can do something similar to what he used to do. And at the end of the day, I'm hoping that if he does go on a stretch for like maybe 10 games or so of this, maybe there's an outside chance a team or 2 at the deadline might be wanting to take on his expiring salary and might be willing to give us assets with some draft capital attached to it if they feel like they need cap space from Ben Simmons. Like, I'm hoping that that's what this leads to, because like Dylan said, there's a chance if nobody wants him, you just buy him out or you send him home. But if there's a chance that you can trade him somewhere and get something back, Sean Marks might have a chance to really recoup his value with the Brooklyn fans, because this Ben Simmons trade was one of the worst trades a GM could ever make for somebody, because this guy has been, like you said, abysmal throughout the last few years of his career. And the fact that now he's starting to show you he can go to the rim more, he can make free throws, he can do a fadeaway shot. It's like a little too late, like 8 years too late at this point. So thank gosh he's an expiring contract, so we don't have to deal with is Ben going to play? Is he not going to play? Can he make a jump shot? Can he make a free throw? Like, we shouldn't be answering these questions with a former first-round draft pick. You want players that you can rely on. And unfortunately, you can't rely on Ben Simmons. When he does stuff like this, like, wow, how many games do I have to wait, or how many years do I have to wait for Ben Simmons to ever do this again? So thank gosh we're going to move off of him after this. And whether it's trading him or buying him out or just sending him home, Brooklyn has options with how to get through this last few months of Ben Simmons. So I think that's
John,
the mindset we need to have.
Let me
John,
get to
we
LBL. I
kinda
haven't
had
gotten
this-
to LBL on this yet. Let me get to LBL, and I'll
Okay.
get back to you, Dylan.
Hmm.
LBL, your thoughts on Simmons? I don't think this thing with him and Claxton. I was open to trying it because I think there's some defensive good that can come from it, but offensively, I can't see this working. What are your thoughts on Ben Simmons being the starting point guard?
I still want to. I don't want him to stay for the rest of the year. I want to buy him out and, give him a shot to play somewhere else and give our young guys a shot, like you said, Amari Bailey and the other guys. I think that at this point, the money is secondary. So I would just buy him out, and then at least it shows good faith. And even with everything that we've been through with Ben Simmons, we were still willing to give him a shot to make a playoff team. So I think that would bode well for us.
I want to get into. Well, yeah, I know you wanted to add to the conversation. What'd you have, Dylan? What? I know you wanted to add.
No, I was just going to mention to John, we've had this discussion before. Ben Simmons is not getting traded. Like, there's no world where he can get traded. There's no team out there stupid enough to trade for him. Even if a team wants cap salary, the entire point of this season for Brooklyn has been to create cap salary. So we're not going to give up a guy making $40 million to take on 2 or 3 contracts for multiple years that add up to Ben Simmons' contract. So there's zero chance that Ben Simmons gets traded. I will put my life savings on it.
I understand that the odds of potentially trading him are pretty bad right now. But if this guy keeps doing what he's doing right now, all the way to the deadline, there might be an outside chance Marks could turn one of the worst trades he ever made in his life maybe into something. If he can do that, if Sean Marks can do that, I think he curries favor with Brooklyn fans a little bit there. That's all I'm saying.
The point is that there is not 2 or 3 expiring contracts out there on any team that can match up to Ben Simmons' contract. So you'd prefer to trade Ben Simmons just because you don't like him and don't want him on the team over the fact that you can create $40 million in free money next offseason. There's no point of trading Ben Simmons. It is negative 100% chance that you can get back expiring contracts for Ben Simmons. Any team that's going to want Ben Simmons is either going to be a team that wants to get him in the buyout market, or B, a team that wants to free up cap space by trading away bad contracts for an expiring contract. There's no world where Ben Simmons gets traded.
So hypothetically, let's say Portland wanted to get off DeAndre Ayton's contract. We're willing to attach assets, maybe a late protected first to take on Ben's salary because they need cap space. You wouldn't do that?
Take on a guy making $38+ million for the next 3 years, so we don't have cap space next offseason.
If they attach I'm just saying, if they attach draft capital to the guy, it's not like you're just taking on Ayton, take on Ayton alone. Like, that would be one scenario that I've thought about where it could potentially work out for us. But you'd rather we get something back for Simmons, right? Than just let him go for completely nothing.
No, I would. $40 million
in a perfect world is all I'm saying. You probably want that.
$40 million is more valuable than a Portland protected first-round pick in a bad contract in DeAndre Ayton. $40 million gets you an entire bench.
Yeah, but let's also say we move off of Claxton. You need a center. That Simmons Vaden trade actually would work out in our favor. We could recoup Ayton's value and maybe trade him down the line for more assets. But remember, we're trying to tank for 2 years potentially, right? That's a move potentially that sets you up for down the line after 2026. Maybe we could turn Ayton into like a tradable salary contract when we want to make a bigger move. So it's not like I'm just taking on Ayton just to get off of Ben Simmons. I don't like the guy. It's like a chess move potentially for us is all I'm saying. I know that's probably not going to happen, but you have to think about possibilities with Simmons. If Sean Marks was a strategic GM, this is a move I hope he would actually think about a little bit because, you want to, in a perfect world, you want to get something back for Simmons at this point, given the fact that he's giving you almost nothing.
Anything back for Simmons.
You're
you
getting
can buy him out.
$40 million. Yeah, you're getting back $40 million. That is much more valuable than a single thing that we could get in the trade market for him. Nobody's going to attach picks for him because it's an expiring deal. So why would a team attach a first round pick, especially a team as bad as Portland, who's going to probably be tanking again next season. Why would they attach picks? Plus,
Because they don't like DeAndre Ayton either. Let's remember, Portland doesn't like Ayton. Didn't the coach just say the guy had no spirit? Like, honestly, Simmons and Ayton are more similar than people want to admit. Both of their careers have gone down, you know, the crapshoot. So,
okay, but
if they,
why do you want Ayton, though? Why do you want Ayton?
Because if our goal is to trade Claxton at the deadline, getting Ayton would be a secondary move. Because at the end of the day, we do need somebody to play center for us potentially, right?
Portland is not a team that lands free agents. Them creating cap space does nothing for them.
Well, that would be their problem with that. I'm just saying, if there was a world where you could get something back for Simmons, it's a bigger problem
for us though to take on a contract like Ayton for a player who's not even valuable.
Doesn't Ayton only have 2 more years left on his deal, though?
Two starting next season, I believe. But even then, the point is that you're taking on a guy who's making Zach LaVine caliber money. What's going on with Zach LaVine? They can't trade him. And the only thing
the Nuggets might make a deal for him very soon, so we'll let them monitor that.
That's my point. They're not going to get back an expiring deal. They're going to get back a 3-4 year deal for $37+ million. They're not getting anything for him.
Listen, if they were willing to attach assets, I'd want to entertain the idea at least. If they just wanted to give us anything for Simmons with nothing attached, I wouldn't do it. Obviously, what would the point be? There'd be no point in just taking on Ayton alone. You'd have to incentivize that.
I think taking on any contract that's more than 2 years is probably the dumbest thing that you could possibly do. I don't think that there is a world that Ben Simmons gets traded. I could almost guarantee my entire if I had to put it out there today that I would delete my Instagram page, that I would never watch this team again, and that I would live in a shack for the rest of my life. That's how much I would bet on Ben Simmons not being traded. Ben Simmons is not getting traded. It's just not happening.
I agree. It would be nearly impossible unless you wanted to take on like the worst. There's no. I can't see him getting traded. I can't. Give me a situation, John. I'm not asking you on the spot, but give me a Ayton is not happening. Like, give me a trade that the Nets would want to make, or the other team would want to make.
Yeah, well, the other one is who we've been talking about with Zion. Like, if you wanted to take a low ball offer to the Pelicans for Zion, it'd be Simmons and a first-round pick. I wouldn't have to give anything else up at that point because, like you said, Gary, you're the one who's entertaining the whole Zion thing of it all. That would be a way to make it work, to get off of Simmons. The Pelicans get cap space to figure out their whole crappy situation, and then you could sit Zion the rest of the year. And if you draft a Harper or Ace, you pair him with Zion and Thomas and see what you can do with that. Those are the only 2 scenarios that I've come up with where you could actually get rid of Simmons' contract at least. Would be either for Zion or Ayton.
Give up Ben Simmons for Zion Williamson. In no world does any.
But Dylan, your offer for Claxton and 3 firsts is such a crappy offer because why are we giving the Pelicans more incentivized, draft picks, man? Like, respectfully, we should only give them 1 first. We should give them like 1 first.
Williamson played 70 games last season. When healthy, he averages 24+ a game and 7+ rebounds a game. He also shoots 55+% from the field.
He hasn't been anywhere close to where he was in Duke, though, Dylan. That's the thing. So if I'm a GM, why do I have to give up more than I have to?
He averaged like 27, so 3 points less per game in the NBA. I mean, that's pretty accurate. That's not far-fetched.
Yeah, but he's got hamstring issues. So if his hamstrings are holding up, I would be a jerk GM for giving them 3 first-round draft picks for a guy with bad hamstrings. At the end of the day,
that's a realistic offer, though. At the end of the day, you can't give up dog shit for a Mercedes-Benz. That's not possible.
But let me comment on that, Dylan. Like, I'm a Zion fan. Him and John Morant are my 2 favorite players in the league to watch. Right? Like, if the Pelicans are on and Zion's playing, I want to watch the Pelicans. But there's no value for him. He never plays. He's fat.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, no,
all the warts that go with him. I don't know what the market is for him, but I'm telling you right now, it's probably not more than 3 firsts. It just probably isn't.
Well, John's also exaggerating it a bit. I said 2 first-round picks plus a protected first. That's a realistic offer.
Okay.
Because they need a center. You give them 2 draft capital pieces that'll be valuable for them to move on to create a better roster, and you also have a protected first, which you can potentially get back. That's a realistic offer for a number 1 overall pick, who's also still in
this idea. The 2026 pick, the Knicks pick, and then the 2026 Nets pick. Yeah, the 2026 Nets pick.
Yeah, no, see, like that I would never do. 2026.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
I would trade no 2026 pick, even if we had another one.
What picks were you offering again, Dylan, for Zion, please?
It was 1 pick this year. It
was the Knicks pick,
the Knicks pick. It was the Knicks 2027 pick, and then a protected Dallas first-round pick in 2029, I believe.
We're not. The
Mm.
only difference I'm giving them the 2026 pick, because if we get the 2026 pick, we're going to be better, assuming Zion plays, and it's not going to be a top. I don't think that would be a top 10 pick. And we could put a protection on it, like a top 5 protection on it or something like that. But
yeah, put it this way: Ben Simmons didn't play a game the year that we traded for him, and they got James Harden. Okay, you're not going to trade Zion Williamson for pennies. That's not realistic. You're going to have to
agree.
give
I think
up
it's going to
Claxton
take.
since
I
the
think it's going
salary
to take
match.
3 ones, which is
Yeah.
still a steal.
It's
the
still a
question-
steal, but it's a high risk, high reward scenario where you are taking a very big risk on a player who's not healthy, but you also have the reward of if he does get healthy, he is an all-star. So to me, again, I don't want this happening, but if that's worst case scenario, so be it. But again, it's not going to happen this season. You don't do anything this season to potentially add more wins to this team. It makes no sense. So
yeah,
Simmons
if you
gets
trade for him, you
though.
can sit him out for the rest of the season or play him a little bit at the end. I mean, I'm not that concerned about that. It would be a trade for next year, which is why I kind of think the trade would get done in the off season more than at the deadline.
Yeah,
right?
it would 100% be done in the offseason.
But I think the Nets are in such a bad spot. I think they're in such a horrible spot that we actually have to entertain the idea of trading for Zion, right? Like the Knicks.
I don't think we're in as bad of a spot as you think it is.
Yeah,
you keep bringing
Gary.
up Cam Johnson's, you keep bringing up Cam Johnson's contract, but realistically, he's a guy that's likely to be dealt. Ben Simmons is an expiring contract. There's nothing bad about that contract. It's actually the most favorable contract we could have right now in basketball, simply because of the situation that we're in. There's no other contracts on the books outside of Claxton who's bad, and that's probably your trade piece in the near future for a star.
Let me back up here. So let's say Cam Johnson and Doe are gone. So what do we have on this team? Like, even if we won the lottery and drafted Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey or whatever guy you like the best, throw that guy's name in. This team is still the worst team in basketball by a wide margin, along with Washington.
But that's because you're looking at it as this roster. You're not looking at it as the Nets have 70+ million in cap space next offseason. If you don't think that the depth of this team is not going to get better this offseason, because again, there's no players out there in free agency that should be getting more than $25 million from us next offseason.
So who do you want to sign? Who do you want to give the money to? And why would they come here?
I'd have to pull up again the free agent. Somebody pull up the free agency list. I'll tell you right now, because I know that we talked about this not too long ago. There was at least 12 guys that I named that I would give contracts to. And again, you're looking for more depth pieces than you are guys who are going to be considered stars or starters. Like, you have your Cam Thomas starter. You have the guy who you're going to draft as a starter. You're probably going to want to implement Jalen Wilson, Noah Clowney as starters. You still have Nick Claxton next year. That should be your starting 5. The rest of the pieces outside of that.
Nick Claxton and Jalen Wilson are starting on your team, you're a bad team. And this is
the whole meaning of next season, though, is again to try and land a top 10 pick. Because until a guy like De'Aaron Fox or Giannis is available, there's no reason for Brooklyn to be trying to spend money on high valued contracts that can't be moved, you know?
Right.
I don't know why one of the, like, if you're Giannis.
Yeah, when I look at De'Aaron Fox, since they've had those rumors about maybe the Spurs wanting him.
Yeah, the Spurs, Rockets, Nets are the 3 teams. I think the Raptors are the 4th team.
He is a Texas kid, so I think that would be a better situation for him because.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, if you have the opportunity to play next to Wemby or Cam Thomas, you're choosing Wemby 20 out of 10 times. There's no debate.
And you're in your home state and, you know, no state taxes.
Yep.
I think that's the better deal for him.
I think we have more of a chance at a Giannis than we do a De'Aaron Fox as of right now. Though De'Aaron Fox is a great fit, we still have an opportunity to draft a point guard this year. So I think the forward position is where you want to excel at more in terms of a star, because I think a young point guard like a Dylan Harper, or Igor Demen, a Boogie Flan, those are the guys that are going to be very good players in this league. And again, in basketball, outside of Steph Curry, is there a point guard who is a true number 1 option that has led their team to the finals in the last 20 years? I don't think there is. So
what about when Harden was with the Rockets and they got to the finals? Does that count or no?
Yeah, you know, but that's my point. Your best player on your team should be your forward, right? We already have a guard who can score. Having a second guard who can potentially be an all-star like a Dylan Harper is a great piece to have, but you don't want that to be your number 1 option. So I still think that at the end of the day, draft your point guard who could be a star, and go out and trade for a superstar forward. That's the blueprint that I'm looking at still.
So here are the free agents in 25. So Kyrie and James and LeBron were 1 and 2. Obviously, we're not getting those guys.
Yeah, don't even name a star because there's no good ones
Brandon Ingram,
outside of LeBron. Nope, would not give money.
Ain't worth
Especially
the max contract.
Julius
Not at
Randle.
No,
Not at all.
no,
Nope.
no,
I'm just gonna go through the name. Jimmy Butler,
Not at all.
no, not negatory. Negative.
Miles Turner.
No.
Potentially, if we were to move off of Nick Claxton, and if he was to come here for less than $22 million a year, yes.
But that's not going to happen. You're not getting them for that, and you're not moving off of Claxton.
I mean, he's making if that's. But remember the scenario that I said where if you move Claxton, it's probably going to be on draft night. So if he was to be moved on draft night, you draft a young center, you bring Miles Turner in on a 2-year cheap deal. I'm okay with that. So that is a the contract too.
Okay.
Kuminga, no, I'm not giving more than $30 million to him. I wouldn't give more than $23 million for him.
Giddy.
No.
Let's keep pedophilia away.
So let me give me Evan Turner. Give me the max salary you would offer him.
Evan Turner or Miles Turner?
I
was going to say, because I remember Evan Turner. Don't worry.
I thought you were going to say Evan Fournier. I thought you were going to say Evan Fournier. I'm like, the guy's not in the league anymore.
Evan Turner got a massive contract. It didn't work out. Miles Turner,
I'm okay with giving like a 3-year deal with a player or a team option on the 3rd year. And I would do it at about $21 million a year. Something similar to Claxton, but I think he spaces the floor and improves the team a little bit more.
So you think you're going to get Miles Turner for less than you got Nick Claxton?
Yes, because Turner's a little older. He's moving off of a contending team to go to a different team. I could see him being in the range of like 21 to 24.5 million. That's the range that I would put him in.
Fred VanVleet.
Not a chance.
No.
I don't want miniature Drake on my team. I'm good.
Nas Reed.
I don't think Timberwolves are going to let him go.
It's not even that they probably won't let him go.
It's a player option, not a team option.
Yeah, he's likely to pick that up, and then they may just try and package him in something to move off of him. So I don't see him being a free agent this year.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell.
Woo!
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Ain't going back to that unless we trade for him for expiring. That's it.
Going back to your
Alex
is never a good idea. Nope.
Alex Caruso, who I think is so overrated. Go ahead, Alex Caruso.
Not a chance. No.
You know, it's interesting. He's due for a 4-year contract, but if OKC wanted to make a big move, I wouldn't be surprised if he was potentially traded for maybe a bigger upgrade on defense. You know, something to look out for.
I think they traded for him for a reason. He fits that system very well. I could see them giving him like a 3-year, $36 million deal where he's making 12 a year. Like that's a
okay.
That's a good offer.
That would be a good offer for sure. Middleton, no, do not want Middleton. Ankles are shot, man. No.
I was gonna say
Cam Thomas. That's our guy.
Website. Yeah, there's a better website where you can see the list of all of them. If you
Bruce
go back
Brown?
to your browser.
I wish we never would have got rid of Bruce, man. He fit the culture so well, man.
Here, I'll find the list real quickly because there's a certain website that has a better list that shows you every free agent.
All right, I got this list, but it's literally every free agent. Like
NBA 2025.
BI. LB. LB, I think you muted.
I think he left.
I think he left. Yeah, I think he left.
Yeah, that's John in here.
Oh, wait, hang on.
Let's see. Where is the site that I usually use?
I'm sorry. I didn't see that you left, LB.
That's
LB,
all right. I had to leave and come back. What's going on?
Quick question. Zion Williamson, as we're looking up free agency, your thoughts real quick on the Nets potentially trading for Zion?
Oh, I'm definitely against it. And I was a big Zion guy too, but I'm definitely against it because
you're on the right one. Spot Track. There we go. So let's see.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I would stay away from him. Yeah, we can't mess with guys we need consistent guys who can stay healthy.
Right.
Turner's been in the league 10 years already. That's crazy. You might be right. You might be right on that $21 million.
You know why Turner don't make sense, Gary? Because he would make sense if the Nets already had 2 stars on the team and you needed a center to star for you. I wouldn't get him because I just don't think we're ready at that level yet to contend. So I don't think it would make sense to get Turner at this point. For us.
Lonzo Ball?
I was going to say Lonzo's another player, yes. Luke Kennard potentially.
How about Karis LeVert?
Why are we free agent shopping?
Because I was
got-
trying to explain why. So pretty much Gary continues to say that this roster is so bad on contracts and that if you just draft a player, you're still going to be bad next season. But what I think people aren't understanding is that we have 70+ million in cap space next year. What we could be doing rather than trying to star chase against really bad play, like Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram are the highlights of next offseason's free agency. That's just bad for business if you go and offer one of those guys 35+ million. So rather than going for a star, you have the assets to trade for a Giannis if he ever becomes available. You have an opportunity to draft a Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey. You draft those players, and then you spend that money on good depth pieces, right? Guys who are going to be able to play on a contender off the bench. A guy like Jayshawn Tate, who's going to be available this offseason.
I like Tate.
A guy like Davion Mitchell could potentially be available. He's a restricted free agent, but remember, we have the most cap space. You offer a little more than Toronto wants to match, you can get him.
Right.
A player like Trey Mann over in Charlotte, another restricted free agent that could potentially be a nice backup point guard for the future.
You could also trade some of these contracts too, Gary. Like if we sign some of these guys like 1 or 2 year deals, we can make them trade eligible to maybe go to a different team as well. So if you have to use the cap space instead of trading for bad contracts,
why are you signing him if you want to? Like, why are you signing him to trade him?
Quentin Grimes is another.
Well, Gary, you have two strategies. You could sign these guys, trade them, or you could just take on bad contracts of the cap space. We're not going to go after a top free agent next year unless you want to trade for Giannis.
All of these options are terrible. Like I agree, these are all.
Well, you got to use the cap space then, Gary. Unfortunately, we have regulatory rules here.
I want to get good players with that cap space. You guys,
but Gary, 2025 is not the year to do it. It would be like 2026 or 27 off season.
Next,
you think you can get these players, John? Your team is a disaster. Like, why would
we have the most draft capital in the East, unlimited cap space. If we get a top draft pick, it changes the trajectory in different ways.
I want to understand. Giannis and Luka are going to come to play with 19-year-olds. That's what you're saying?
Giannis did train Ace and Harper this past summer, so it wasn't like he was just training them to train them.
Yes, they're coming here to play with 19-year-olds?
I think they will. God. He's right.
No, what we're saying is that if you build the right depth around the young players that you have, you are now in a position to evaluate the young talent that you have and build a proper package with draft capital to trade for that superstar. We've already discussed it. Dylan Harper is probably the most NBA-ready prospect in the league. Him on a team probably can immediately average an 18+, 5+ assists type of season. That's the projection that I have for him, no matter what team he's on. So realistically, if that's your third option with Cam Thomas being your second option scorer, you add a Giannis. Yes, that is a team that could be top 6 in the East if you have the right depth pieces around him. And the only way that you do that is by spending money on the depth pieces that are out here in free agency this offseason.
All right. So here's my thing.
Realistically, it comes down to this. It's like you have 4 stars that could potentially be available in free agency. Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler, LeBron, Kyrie, if those last 2 opt out. Kyrie's not coming back. LeBron's not coming here. Jimmy Butler is too old.
It's not that I don't want to tank, LB. It's that tanking doesn't work. I don't have a better option, so I guess tank it is, right? It's like Dylan said, there hasn't been a team in 20 years that won by, besides Steph, that won with a point guard as their primary player. Okay, fine. There's not been a team in 10 years that's won through tanking. You don't have a horrible roster, then put a good player on the roster via the draft, and then think you're going to compete. It doesn't work that way, right? Like the Knicks were terrible for years. Got RJ Barrett. That did nothing for them. Then via free agency, they got Jalen Brunson, and that changed that changed the trajectory of the franchise.
Realistically, if you look at the Utah Jazz's situation right now, that is what the Nets are going to look like if they can't land a top 3 pick this year. Utah refused to tank for 2 seasons with Larry Markkinen. They had 30+ win seasons. They didn't draft Dick. And look at where they are now. They're still tanking. The whole point is that if you get the one tank season over and you get the pick that you need, you are now in a position where you can start trying to win some of these meaningless games.
All right, let's see that. Let's see if that's true. So Detroit got the number 1 pick. Hit on the pick, Cade Cunningham. How they doing? 4 years later,
they're a play-in team currently.
I think Detroit has
team. So after 4 years,
you don't think they have a good foundation?
They have a very good foundation.
Okay,
I
so
do.
you guys want
They
to be
have
the
a
Detroit
backcourt
Pistons?
and they have a center.
That's like the blueprint model. Be Detroit.
No, the point is that you can go from being
Gary.
dog shit this year to being the Pistons next year, and from going to the Pistons this next season, going on to potentially beat an Orlando the following season. It's a 2-year process. It's not something that you can flip overnight or something that you can continue to do for 4 years of tanking. It's not possible. You tank this season, you get a top 3 pick, you play well, play hard like they have been this season. Do that next year. And when you see what the result is of that, that tells you if you should be tanking again or if you should be going for a star at the trade deadline. But either way, you have a year and a half window to.
So Detroit's doing it right. Detroit and the Nets have basically identical records. One's 12-17, the other's 11-17. So if we get it right and we beat Detroit, we could basically be have the same record we have now. That's what I'm taking from this. Tanking doesn't work.
No, let me just.
I need a good option. So maybe it's tanking.
I need like
but
a
it's
full,
not a good option.
I need like a full 2 minutes to really explain this because I don't think people. I don't think you're understanding it. The Nets right now are dog shit. Go ahead. The Nets right now are dog shit. We can all agree on that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dog shit means that you can only go and improve. When you have 70+ million in cap space with the potential to land a top 3 pick, you're talking about adding a premier prospect next to Cam Thomas, next to $70 million worth of free agents. Correct? Immediately that team right there is going to be better than this year's team. So instead of top 3 next year, now you're looking at top 10. Okay, say you land the 8 through 10 pick or whatever the case may be. Say they overachieve and they're a late lottery team and they want to take a shot on a star at the trade deadline. You're now talking about a potential high seed play-in / potential 5-6 seed in the East. And now you have the following offseason where you're still going to have additional cap space because you've given yourselves the opportunity to have contracts that will still free up space for you next season. You're then in a position to accelerate what you're doing. Right? So right now we're the Nets. We are dog shit. We're bottom 5 in the league on paper. Next season, you are like the Hornets or the Pistons. You're looking at like the 8 through 11 seed, correct? With the opportunity in draft capital, unlike those two teams, to accelerate and build a better roster. So now you're talking about potentially by the end of the 2026 season, you're looking at the 6th seed, maybe 7th seed. That gives you an entire offseason to, again, reevaluate what you have, make the proper moves, and now you're talking about potentially a top 5 team in the East by the 2027 start season. It's a 2-year process. It sucks to say because nobody wants to sit for 2 years and wait, but that's how it works. So until they do that, we're not doing anything. And if they fuck this up, you're looking at if you had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden on your team and you couldn't even make a finals, who else is there out there in the next 2 years that's going to bring you to a finals? There's nobody.
So that's
right, and you need young talent.
John, let me respond to that. So let me respond to that. Okay. So if you do that, first off, the first thing you have to do is fire Sean Marks. You cannot win with Sean Marks as your GM. It's not going to happen. That is an impossibility. Okay, he's already shown that on multiple levels. He fires coaches quicker than you can hire him, and he's a pussy. He has no balls. He can't, and he chooses. It's a disaster. He has no idea how to assess a roster. He has no idea how to make a trade. He's horrible. He's worse than the Jets general manager Joe Douglas, who was fired. Okay, so that's like one. The second thing is this is what the Pistons did. They spent free agency. They spent money on kind of mid-free agents, and they hit the lottery. And they're still terrible because of it, and there's no way out of it. And
we're also comparing a top 5 valuable franchise in terms of market to a bottom 10. So there's a difference in free agents that you can land. We all know that.
You can land different free agents. You can, but the names that you gave me that you wanted to sign, the Miles Turners of the world, like
that's more so just to fill out the rest of the roster. I'm not looking to sign free agents this year to go out and compete next year. There's no free agents to do that. You can't just save $70 million for the following season. There's a minimum salary cap that you have to hit, which is like 160 or 180 million in cap space. So either way, you're gonna have to spend like 50 next season.
Gary, where's your patience at, though? I mean, you know, like
it doesn't work. Tanking.
I know what I'm saying.
It
But,
was
but Gary, listen. If the free agent market
We've
was
never
exciting
seen
next summer,
the Nets.
you'd probably entertain using that money. But let's be honest with you, Brandon Ingram is not going to change your trajectory. Jimmy Butler was never going to change our trajectory. Those guys are third pieces, not primary pieces. If you're going to go for a star next summer, he has to be a primary piece. And Brooklyn's problem is when you invest in aging stars, where's your young talent depth to help you throughout the season? We didn't
So
have
real
that with the
quickly-
KD, Kyrie, and James era.
Real
You
quickly,
didn't
I'm
have young
looking at
talent.
real quickly, I'm looking at the 2026 free agency class. Are you ready for this? Because I didn't even know this. Damian Lillard, player option. LeBron, free agent. Bradley Beal, player option. Jimmy Butler, free agent. Kevin Durant, free agent. Zach LaVine, player option. Trae Young, player option. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Didn't he sign an extension?
Yeah. So this is a little bit dated.
So he's not available. De'Aaron Fox, free agent. Julius Randle, free agent. Jaren Jackson Jr., free agent. Everybody.
It starts with talent, though, man. It starts with talent and good GM. But I'm saying, you know, I'm patient because I remember when we drafted Chris Morris with the 4th pick. Then we had, it's like in like 3 out of 4 years we had top 3 picks. We got Chris Morris. The next year we got like someone else, and then the next year we got Derek Coleman, the number 1 pick.
And then Kenny
He competed for Rookie of the Year. Then we got while he competed for Rookie of the Year, we ended up with the 2nd pick. We got Kenny Anderson. Bill Fitch, a veteran coach, didn't want to play Kenny Anderson, so we continued to lose. Then we made the trade for Drazen, and we turned into a contender. Now
this is the point. I'm a big Nets fan. This is the point that I'm a Nets fan.
Young.
Now you're speaking my language. We were good. How many times did we get out of the first round of the playoffs?
No, but I mean, we were good. We
weren't good, LB. Like I love those players. I love that team.
But again,
it wasn't good.
Let me jump into this for a second, though, because, again, we're talking about draft classes in the late 80s or mid-90s. There's no such thing at that time where you saw draft classes this deep. Look at every draft class outside of last season. How many players have hit outside of the lottery? You'd have to think, 1 or 2 players in each draft class have been very well outside of the lottery, if not more. There is way more talent coming into the NBA every single season than there was back then. The fact that Derek Favors was a 3rd overall pick, compare the 3rd overall pick to this year. You're looking at Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper.
Bust anyway,
that
man.
guy,
was a bust
Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey in the draft class of Derek Favors would probably be the number 1 or 2 pick. So
Derek Favors was a bust anyway.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is there was so much more risk in the draft back then because there was not as much talent. You are now looking at much better player development staffs. You're looking at much more athletic and gifted players. Yeah. There's no such thing as a bad draft class anymore outside of last year. And even last year's draft class, there's probably about 3 kids in that top 15 that probably would have been top 10 picks back in the Derek Favors draft class.
I agree. I agree with what he's saying, but that's twofold. Now, right, if back in the day, if you drafted Patrick Ewing or David Robinson, you were going to be good because there wasn't that much talent in the NBA. If you got one of the superstars, you were going to be good.
Yes.
That's not the case anymore. You can have Cade Cunningham. You can have De'Aaron Fox. You can have John Moran. If you have nothing around those guys, you're still going to suck.
But that's my point is that we already have 7 core young pieces to this team. You have Cam Thomas. You have Zaire Williams, who's likely to come back next season. You have Jalen Wilson, Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton. That's 5 already. You have Dariq Whitehead, who's sitting in the G League, who has a lot of potential. You still have Day'Ron Sharpe, whether he comes back or not. That's still 7 core players that could be on this team next season. So that's right. 7 young players.
And that core has gotten you this. That core that you're mentioned has made you the worst team in basketball along with Washington.
Gary, can I say this?
Right now, Gary. Hold on, John. Hold on. Right now, we're the worst. We're the 8th worst team. So we're not the worst. But realistically, again, even if this team is the worst, it is young. Look at SGA when he first got to OKC. What seed were they?
That was 2021?
I believe so. Or no, it should have been 2020. It was the year that we got KD and Kyrie fully healthy. Wasn't that the year that the Clippers made their team?
2021 season, right? Because the year before they were the bubble year, they were in the playoffs with Billy Donovan and stuff. Yeah, as their head coach, they were.
Well, no, during
Chris
the bubble,
Paul.
the Clippers were in the were in the playoffs with Paul George and Kawhi. They signed Paul George and Kawhi the same year that we got Katie and Kyrie, I believe.
I'm sorry. I'm misunderstanding your question. What you're asking? Oklahoma City, you're saying, right?
I'm asking what OKC's record was the first year they got SGA.
I'm trying to figure out the first year they got SGA. That was.
Let's see. I'm looking it up right now as well. It looks like that
2020,
happened.
2020, 2021 season.
Okay, so look up the standings that season.
22-50. They were 14th in the West.
Okay, my point exactly. Look at where they are now. That's what tanking does. That's what building around your draft picks does.
No, they didn't tank. They traded. No. Stop. They
so
didn't
that's
tank.
my
They
point,
traded
though.
for a
OKC had to do it with other picks.
They traded for a superstar.
OKC had to do it with other picks. We're able to do it with our own picks. There's no difference there. Whether you do it with somebody else or your own.
No, there's a big difference. If you want to trade for Zion Williamson, I understand. You want to do this without trading for the superstar. They traded for the superstar.
But you're not understanding what I'm saying. You get the young player first because you already have a star in Cam Thomas potentially. You then draft another guy who's a potential star. You see what those two can do together. If they overachieve, that's when you add a Giannis. That's your superstar.
I love Cam Thomas.
Gary,
Cam Thomas is on a level playing field as SGA.
Cam Thomas as your third option impactful winner and your second option scorer next to Dylan Harper, who's your second impactful winner next to a Giannis, who is your first option in everything. That right there is a team that could be successful. Look at what
you can trade for Giannis. That changes the calculus. I agree. I don't know that it's just as easy as you guys are making it sound like to trade for Giannis.
Gary, can I say this to you?
It's not that it's as easy. It's the fact that we have the capital to do it for any player that we want. At some point, in some world, we are going to land a superstar in the next 2 years. That is a fact.
Right.
And this offseason, next trade deadline, or the 2026 offseason, we are going to land a superstar at some point.
Right, they will. Listen, we're the Brooklyn market. We're the fourth most valued franchise. We're going to land a star in a year or two. It's just there's a process you have to go through. And Gary, I think you're probably not understanding is this. Let's just say Sean Marks got greedy. Let's say you get Ace, Cooper, or Harper, right? And they want to sign Ingram and Jimmy. You're going to be over the first or second apron. The problem is on the new CBA era, if you have a team that you believe is going to win a title, but it doesn't win a title, you're stuck paying luxury taxes and you're screwing your whole system. Look at the Phoenix Suns right now. Weren't they in the finals like a few years ago? And then they decided to break down that whole roster. They still have Devin Booker, right? That was the main kid they drafted, right? Now you got Katie and Bradley Beal. Are they closer to a championship now than they were a few years ago? Or are they far away from it? They're pretty far away from it, and they're over the second apron. That new Jim who took over, he was like, new CBA be damned. He wanted to do everything in his power to form a big three in retaliation to the new CBA era. Guess what's happening? They can't make any moves. Their roster has no defense, and they're stuck relying on Kevin Durant at 36 to carry him every damn night. And guess what? It's not working. We don't want to be in that position again. Like Dylan says, you have a little young core. You have 2 drafts to add more to that core. And after those 2 years, depending on who fits, who doesn't, you can make a run for a start, and then you have a contending team again. But you have to go through the process, Gary. If we do this too soon, we could be the Suns right now, struggling for no reason.
Example of a team that tanked their way to a title, not in recent history. It doesn't work.
Okay, so Gary, let's just sign Jimmy Butler and Ingram and sell tickets and screw ourselves. If that's the case, why are we going to win a title? We're not going to win a title with that, Gary.
What was the point of getting the picks back at that point?
Yeah. What was the point, Gary?
You're still drafting a player this year. Look, Sean Marks screwed this thing up so badly. It might be the only way out of it, but it's not going to work. You're not going to build a title team because I drafted Dylan Harper. It doesn't work that way. Or Ace Bailey, whichever.
With that type of mentality, Gary, that's how you're gonna ruin a future if you think like that. Because at the end of the day, we've never done this before.
Hang on. We have currently under salary $90 million tied up in Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, and Cam Johnson. Off the bat, you can't win. You can't even compete with $90 million. Okay,
that's this season.
Ben Simmons comes off. Now you want to compete with the worst core in basketball and a million draft picks. You have a million
Washington. So Washington has a better core.
It's those are the two. Those are the like. I don't care which one you think is. It's probably better than Washington's, but it doesn't really matter, right? Like you guys like Jalen Wilson. That's a borderline NBA player. Daron Sharp, I like. That's fine. Nick Claxton's contract is awful. It's like this is not a good formula, guys. It's. I'm not trying to sound.
That's why you got to draft right now, Gary, to get the core to be better. We can't go with what we have right now, right? Like you keep saying. But if you go for a Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram, it's not going to get you anywhere close. If you have a team that could beat Boston right now in the East, there's no reason for us to make big moves, right? Right, Gary? You agree with us. Like Giannis would be the only reason you would throw away 2026, right? But if he's not available, if he goes somewhere else, you have no real options for next year besides drafting. So it's really those you have those options right now.
That's not going to work, and it's not. It's you don't build a winning team that way. Like we just said, the Knicks signed their superstar. That's why they're competing.
Who was their superstar? OG Anunoby?
No, Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson was a mediocre player before going to New York.
Okay, they signed right, and now he's a superstar. Right?
Okay, so who's out there that's a mediocre player that has that?
They tanked for RJ Barrett. That's who they tanked for. How did that work out?
Well, it's working out great for him. He's a very solid player. New York just doesn't know how to develop picks.
Toronto's doing good with him then? Toronto's in good shape?
Scotty Barnes has been hurt half the season, and when he was healthy, they were actually playing.
RJ's your superstar, right? RJ's your star that you're building around?
Scotty is your superstar.
You guys
RJ's your second option.
Okay, so what they tanked for a guy that's not even their star. This is my point. It's like you can get a good player.
That's your second option. In the NBA, there's two stars usually, correct? There's Jalen Brunson, there's Karl Anthony Towns, there's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, there's Chet, there's LeBron, there's AD, there's Steph.
Well, yeah, Oklahoma City.
There used to be KD. There was KD and Kyrie. Point is there's two stars in every league. RJ Barrett's still under the age of 25. Scotty Barnes is under the age of 25. They still have a great young core going for them. They land a good pick this year, or they go out and trade for De'Aaron Fox, which is what they were rumored to be involved in. You're now on top of the top six in the East. So again, it's draft two players that are young, that fit the mold of what you need, and you trade for the third piece. Boston did it with our picks. Boston did it with our picks. They were hot garbage for 3 years.
No, they weren't hot garbage for 3 years.
Dylan, the Magic drafted both Paolo and Franz, right? Dylan, they drafted both those guys, right? The Magic?
Who?
They drafted Franz Wagner, right?
Yes.
Look how different that team is by drafting those two guys. Before they got hurt, the Magic were developing something great, and they're still, working through all the injuries. But those two guys they drafted, and that's what I'm trying to say, though. To Gary's criticism, Gary, you said when it's taking. Gary, you said when it's taking work. Look at the Magic. Look at the Magic.
Okay, good. Hang on. Good. We'll talk about the Magic in a second. Just to be factual, Boston missed the playoffs 1 year. They weren't bad for 5 years. They missed the playoffs 1 year.
And how many times did they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
But that doesn't mean they're trash,
within the span that they traded KG to us to when they drafted Jaylen Brown, how many years did they make the Eastern Conference Finals?
It don't matter. They won the playoffs.
It does matter because how many times do we want to sit?
No, it don't matter because Gary just pointed out a fact. How many
times as a Nets fan do we want to sit in the first round of the playoffs and lose?
But they were sitting in the first round and losing.
Can I answer your question? They went to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2012. They were back in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2017.
Okay, my point exactly. When did we trade for KG and Paul Pierce? Wasn't it 2012?
It was 2012, 2013. So
my point exactly. So they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals with the two players that we traded for who were dick for us. They didn't make it to the conference finals again after until they drafted Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum with our picks. My point exactly. That's my point exactly. You draft two players in the top.
But we do have to say that.
Okay, so who? Okay, hang on. No, let me address what Dylan said.
Look at what Boston did. They drafted Jaylen Brown. They drafted Jason Tatum. They signed Gordon Hayward, and they signed Kyrie.
Let me make this an apples to apples comparison. Whose picks would you like to trade for that will land us in the top 3 while we were building our roster? Who would you?
What time frame?
Well, the next 5 years. Who would you like to give us 2 top 3 picks?
We have our own. Why do we need other people's picks when we have our own?
We're going to be rebuilding into a playoff team like Boston did, right? Boston was a playoff team with 2 top 3 picks. We have to become a playoff team and then get 2 top 3 picks. You see how it's not the same thing?
Last season we were in the play-in. Last season we were in the play-in though. So
it's not the
roster's not that different from last season.
Last season we were in the play-in. Last season we weren't in the
play-in, bro.
What do you mean last season we weren't in the play-in?
It's not
didn't make the play-in. What are you talking about?
We were the 11th seed?
Yeah.
Okay.
We won 30 games, 33 games.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. We didn't make the play-in.
Forget the playoffs. Yeah, we didn't even make the play. played
it's
with
not
11
the
seed.
same thing. But
It's not the
Gary,
same thing. What you guys are trying to do is like this is like the Tim Duncan thing. Well, the Spurs
lying,
traded Tim Duncan and had the worst record in basketball, and 2 years later won a championship. They had David Robinson, who was out for a season. That's why they got the number 1 pick. It doesn't work this way. You don't just get, even if you hit on the pick, Kate Cunningham, Anthony Davis, Zion Williamson, Ben Simmons, it doesn't work.
Okay,
Gary,
so then all right, so then there's no debate anymore. Let's just keep repeating the same stupid shit we've been doing for the 20 years, make it to the second round and lose, and then upset our stars. And
what about the Magic, Gary? Didn't they draft half their team?
Process. It's like Nets fans like getting
half their team. Yeah, half of their team with the only I think the only player over there that came from a different team was KCP.
Yeah, they drafted Paulo, Franz, Jalen Suggs. Well, Cole Anthony, the kid that has lost his role. They just dropped 39 against Miami the other night.
They also drafted Anthony Black. My point being is, all right.
Right.
So if this is the debate every time that we have this conversation, why don't we just bend over and get fucked like we've been the last 20 years? Let's trade everything.
But the thing about it is like y'all want to go out and just go sign a star, bro.
No. Let's trade.
That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying, DJ.
That's what Gary's saying.
All the picks. Let's trade all the picks for Jimmy Butler this season. Let's go out and sign Brandon Ingram in the offseason, and let's just keep getting fisted because it's like I understand that Nets fans, half of them are also either Jets or Giants fans, so you guys aren't used to what winning is. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that at some point, doing things outside of the box
they just spoiled, bro. They think that it's going to be a repeat of what we got with KD and Kyrie. That's what they think. They think we're going to get spoiled.
No, it's not about repeating what KD and Kyrie did. I've been a Nets
fan
for
I'm
23
saying
years.
Nets fans is thinking, oh, we're going to get the same thing. We're going to get another superstar. That's not happening, bro.
You are not landing a KD and Kyrie in one season ever again. It's not happening.
It's not happening, bro.
But what
I agree.
say,
So
there's a lot of factors. Hold on, Gary. There's a lot
of
factors into why KD and Kyrie came to the Nets, bro.
Yeah, Kyrie's the only reason that he came here.
And our role players was good. Y'all act like our team was straight buns.
Kyrie Irving was from New Jersey. He exactly said he wanted to play for the Nets because he grew up a fan of them. KD specifically said he wanted to play with Kyrie. Kyrie brought KD.
You guys are both right. Dylan is right that Kyrie Irving, a Nets fan as a kid, loved Jason Kidd, wanted to play for the Nets. And DJ is right that the Nets were already a playoff team. You guys forget Kenny Atkinson got that.
Yeah, we were.
Scrap of, they had good role players. Like you guys.
So what's going to change now, Gary?
What was that?
Well, worse, we don't have good role players. So who's coming here to come save?
How do we not have good role players? Jalen Wilson is a young up and coming role player.
The problem is
coming here to save the Nets, bro.
The problem is the talent available next summer isn't good enough. Like Gary, we're backtracking at Ingram and Jimmy Butler.
Gary,
we're backtracking at that point.
Gary, I just have a question for you, and I think I already know the answer, but the question is, why can't you just be patient, and then by 26, 27, we'll start our ascension? But why can't Nets fans be patient? I mean, it's better.
You could put Giannis and Brandon Ingram on this team this year, and they're not beating Boston.
Because I'm saying, if you remember, I gave you that 30-year-old scenario, right, with Derek Coleman and Kenny Anderson, and they already had Kenny, and they already had Morris, right? But here's what I'm saying: what was the next thing that they did after Kenny Anderson? They traded for Drazen Petrovic, who nobody knew was a star,
right? And
then he became a star, right?
And then
he was sort of like the Nets version of Brunson, right? Because he played backup behind Clyde Drexler. He never got a shot really, and then once he came to the Nets, he got a shot and he turned into an all-star, an all-NBA player, right?
All-NBA player, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. And we became a formidable team. Yes, we lost.
We were all right. We were okay.
No, but remember, we were still young, though. We were still young. We were still young.
Agreed. And then Derek Coleman had personal demons. Drazen died, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, it imploded. So, but what I'm saying is, I would have rather had a chance with a team like that, or a team with our 25 and 26 picks, and then we go out and see who's available. I would rather do it like that than to trade for a guy that's already, 30 years old or whatever and established, and then like we never, we only become the bottom four teams.
28 when they traded for him. What team had more success, the one with Jason Kidd or the team with Coleman and Anderson?
I would say the one with Jason Kidd.
You're also talking about different Eastern conferences, way different Eastern conferences.
And I would say it was a lot easier. I say it was a lot easier because we lost to We lost to those Brad Dougherty, Ron Harper,
Well, the East has always been
Mark
trash.
Price teams where they were very good, right? Cleveland was really good back then, right?
Yeah.
That's who we
And I
lost
think they
to.
lost to the Knicks one year, right? Didn't they lose to the Knicks in the playoffs one year?
I'm not sure, but the Knicks were good back then too,
Yeah,
right?
no, they lost to good teams for sure, for sure. But my point is the team that traded for 28-year-old Jason Kidd, that traded for Vince Carter, those were good teams. They were better than the Kenny. They were better than the Kenny.
No,
Anderson.
you see that. I'm not going to agree with you about the Vince Carter teams, because when we talk about the Kidd years, we have to say the Kidd, Kenyon Martin, Kittle's
Kerry
team.
Kittle's era. Okay,
and then we have
one
to
era.
split it between that.
After Kenyon left, that's another era, and they bought. Vince
Yeah,
Carter.
and then it's another era. So I'm not going to say that they were as good. I would
They
say
were more entertaining, but they weren't as good.
Yeah,
I
they
grew up
were
on the
box
Kidd
office,
Vince
yeah.
era. It was a great team, but it was an underachieving team. It never did what it was supposed to.
Yeah.
I agree, but it had no bigs, right? And they would get steamrolled by Shaq because it had no bigs, right? Because you had Jefferson and Carter, and then as your bigs, you had Josh Boone. You had like a bunch.
Well, we
of
had
these
Nene.
guys.
We had Nene
Christic,
right?
He had
didn't
some offensive game, but he was
pretty
charming.
He was decent, but he never developed. You know.
He was soft too. The problem was like he was a swing that was the size of a center, and like they never had a big to compete.
But my point is why can't you just be patient and then enjoy whoever we draft this year? I'm not saying the person will win Rookie of the Year, but they'll probably make the All Rookie team, right? And then we'll watch that person ascend. We'll get another top 10 pick, and then that person will do the same thing. And then we got a foundation because we'll still have Clowney, we'll still have Cam Thomas.
That's the biggest thing.
Let me answer your question.
I agree with that.
I'll answer your question because tanking doesn't work. It's proven not to work. Philly did it for a decade. It got him nowhere. Washington and Detroit's been doing it for half a decade.
Gary, can I say this to you, Gary? Look at our team right now.
We've never actually allowed two players that we've drafted to actually develop. We took Derek Favors, traded him, and then drafted Brooke Lopez. That's the last top 10 pick we've ever had in the 2000s outside of Kenyon Martin.
Dylan, this is Dylan from Nets Press, right?
Yes.
There is no Tatum or Jason Brown in this draft. I get what you're actually saying, but those players actually have to be there.
Please don't underwhelm the draft again, BK, please.
Can I ask y'all
now, if you want to say AJ DeBonster next season, next year, yeah, I got you.
Here we go.
Yeah, 100% DeBonster is going to be a top.
Nobody is. I don't understand
DeBonster's better than any pick in this year's draft.
No superstar is clamoring to go play with Jalen Wilson and Clowney, bro.
This is literally being called
DJ. That's my point. I don't know why you just think it's like easy money that we're gonna get the next superstar that we're gonna just get.
No, I'm saying my
because
point
the difference is why bet on
my point
continuing
is like
to waste
I hate
assets and get
when,
old stars when we can bet on a draft that we've never
done. What are you
done.
Are you calling Brandon Ingram old? That's old to you?
No,
he only scores. Wait, Gary. He only scores. This guy's been injury for most of his career.
Guys, one mic. Dylan. Are you saying, like, what are you considering old? 27, 28?
No, I'm saying that Brandon Ingram's a mediocre player on a championship team. He's a Zach LaVine caliber impactful player. He's a third option. Why waste the $40 million on him when you can draft somebody for $9 million a year in a top 3 pick and build around him?
Let me explain, because I'm still keeping this pick. I'm still hypothetically in my brain. Here's what my best case scenario is. I have Cam Thomas. I draft Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper. And I signed Brandon Ingram. So now next year I have Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey.
Okay,
Brandon
6. So we're the 8th seed.
And Cam Thomas. Okay. Now we're
the 8th seed.
Just like the Knicks, right? When they were when they made the playoffs with Randall and got bounced in the first round. Now I'm building something. Now I can go sign another.
No, because you've used up your money. That's your build.
Bingo. Bingo.
That's a $40 to $45 million player that you're bringing in.
Brandon Ingram's not worth that, bro.
Cam Thomas is
not. I want to ask Dylan something. Why do you think the top guarantee the top 1 through 3 pick is guaranteed? You're talking in like absolutist terms, though.
Thank you. I'm very happy that you asked me this. We are the highest marketable team as a bottom 5 team in the league right now.
Don't matter.
No, it matters, DJ. It matters, DJ. It does.
No, it doesn't, bro. Hold on. You're lying, bro. I've seen a ton of top market teams get like the last pick, bro. So it don't matter.
Wait, though. So the Hawks are a top market team, DJ?
No.
It's the lottery. It's ping pong balls.
The lottery is rigged based on what the NBA thinks will bring in more ratings.
I agree. No, see, Dylan, I gotta agree with that.
LeBron James to Cleveland. That's not rigged. Victor
Nah,
Wembanyama
it
to
wasn't
San Antonio.
rigged.
That's
It's
not
all
rigged.
rigged.
Stop.
Hold on. Dylan,
Yeah.
if you're agreeing that the draft is rigged, why do you? How do you?
Thank
what
you
makes you
again.
think that the
I
Nets is going
understand
to get the
right
top
where
3
you're
pick?
going. Thank you. Because it doesn't happen twice. You can't be a 10th seed and get the 1
Man,
seed
stop.
2
The Nets,
years back to
the
back.
league don't
It
even
is
like the Nets, bro.
statistically
Stop it.
impossible.
What do you mean we
never
don't like the Nets? So why are we making
They
so much
don't.
revenue?
Hold on.
Why we
You
why
know,
we
the
making
difference-
revenue?
hold on.
No. The difference
Jonathan,
is that I like the Nets
just
for
this
the
previous
next
summer,
10
they were
years.
talking
I
about
don't
the
like them just
2025
this
draft.
season.
They said the Nets don't even deserve the top 3 picks, bro. What makes
Who
you
said
think we
who
gonna
said
get the
they
top
don't
3 picks?
deserve it? Wait, who specifically said they don't deserve it, DJ?
GMs, people in
Names?
the top front
Names?
offices. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
names.
I want
of people
names.
that
I
probably
don't want
the top pick. That's
a
why.
random innuendo. I want names.
Look up the article, bro.
Yeah. GMs that want the top pick because they know that we have the cap space
No,
to
I
actually
said,
build around that top pick.
GMs and people around Adam Silver's level, like people are in that level.
So a rumor that hasn't been confirmed.
It is confirmed. It was on what? It was on what? What? What
Just because it's on the news doesn't mean
You
it's
guys
true.
are both dealing with extremes. One person
It's not
saying
rumors.
rigged,
Like it's not
another
rumors. It's
person
actually
That
being
is a
said.
rumor. Until Adam Silver specifically says, "Yeah, I don't like the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not."
No,
giving
I
you the
never
top 3
said
pick."
Adam Silver.
There's
I
nothing
said people
true
in
about it.
Adam
rigged,
Silver's
though.
circle. I didn't say Adam Silver.
Okay,
Like people
so
Adam
people can
Silver
talk
work
in a
with.
circle all they want.
I'm talking
John
about
Morant's
people he
friends
worked with.
point
People
guns.
he
It
has
doesn't mean
like
that John Morant's
employees,
a criminal.
I can't say that it's rigged though, because I'm gonna tell you, and this
Nah,
is
it's
what I was
definitely
leaning
rigged.
toward before. If it was rigged, I don't even really want to watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Hold up.
Because if it's rigged, the whole sport is rigged. I
Look
mean,
at-
you
look at-
guys
look
are
at-
betting-
look at the year-
nobody said
Tatum-
nothing when Wemby got drafted to the Spurs, and he grew up a Spurs fan when he was like what?
Yep.
Since a child all the way up to he was
I don't
like a
think
teenager.
it's rigged. I don't
Look
think
at the
it's
year.
rigged.
Look at
And
the
then
year
he
that
all of a
Tatum
sudden
came
gets
into the
sent.
league.
Hold on, Gary.
Look-
He all of a sudden gets sent to the Spurs. How? That's such a that's a coincidence.
I think that was the most Rick Fugazi thing I can remember seeing. Like I think
Point is, look at the year that Tatum was drafted.
Like, I
There's
think everything
actual
is
That
proof
the
of this,
Celtics,
Gary.
Lakers,
Hold on,
and
Gary. There's
76ers as
actual
the top
proof.
3
There's
picks.
actual video and photos of him as a child wearing Spurs gear, bro.
So LB, I'm gonna take you back because you're actually older than me. The Patrick
Yeah.
Ewing draft with the bent frozen card, that wasn't rigged. That was just a coincidence that the Knicks card was bent and frozen, and it was the first year they ever had a lottery, and it just happened to be the year that the Knicks got the player everyone wanted. That was just a coincidence.
Nah, that was rigged.
All right, so if they rigged it once, they can rig it again, right?
But that's what I'm saying, bro. Like the draft has been rigged for years. Last season, look at how bad the class was, and notice how they finally gave the exception to a team that won 30+ games.
When
Bro,
the
You
rig-
think that happens if Wemby's in that class?
The
When
league,
the-
the media, they do everything they can to tear down the Nets, bro. It happened before, and it's gonna happen again.
Because
When
we've
the-
been a laughing stock. Because we've been the biggest fucking
Okay, why do you
morons in
want? Hold
basketball
on.
history.
Exactly my point. So why would a superstar or whoever you want come to a laughing stock team?
Jimmy Butler's already said that he wanted to be here. Giannis,
He never
his
said that,
representatives
bro.
have
He
already
never
said him
said
and
that. He
that
never
us
said
in
that.
Miami were the
Show
options.
me
Bradley
actual
Beal,
proof where he
Damian
came out his
Lillard,
own mouth and
Kyrie,
said that.
KD,
But
all 6 of those players wanted
Hold
to be
on.
here.
I don't think
Dylan,
Butler wants to be
Show
here.
me actual proof where Jimmy Butler came out his mouth and said that. He didn't even request a trade, so you're lying.
Well, actually, Shams mentioned a few days ago that the Nets have the cap space to sign Butler, but he said it was a
But that doesn't mean
negotiation
Jimmy Butler wants
tactic
to.
on
Hold on,
Butler's
hold on.
camp's part.
Jonathan,
Jimmy
let him
Butler's
answer. Hold on,
camp
let him answer.
physically
'Cause
said that
people
he
be Nets
prefers
fans
the
is lying
Nets.
about Jimmy Butler, bro. Jimmy Butler
That's
never
not-
said this.
How is that? Okay, so if
No,
that's a lie, then
Shams
then
basically
Adam
explained
Silver's
it.
circle is a lie,
Jonathan,
correct?
I agree with you. Shams said it, yes, but that don't make it.
Shams
Yes.
is not Butler.
That's what I'm saying. Shams is not Butler.
We've known this for years. Woj was the
Shams
voice
is
of
a
the front
liar. He's
office.
one of the.
Shams
No,
was
he's
the
not
voice of
Woj,
the
bro.
agents. We've
Shams is
known
a
that for
liar.
years. Woj
Shams
was
has
the.
been a liar for years.
Hold on. How is he a liar? Everything that he puts out is 99% accurate. Woj
Yeah.
was the voice of the front office.
No, it's not.
Woj was the voice of the front offices. He was the voice of Sean Marks. Shams was
Shams
the
don't even
voice
got
of the
connections
agents.
like that
He
with
was
the
the
Miami
voice
Heat.
So
of
what
Kyrie.
happens
He's
if
lying.
Butler
That's
goes
how
to the
that
Suns,
Hold up,
DJs? What happens if
Dylan,
Butler
Shams
goes
has
to the
guys,
Suns?
one at a time. Guys, one at a time. One at a time.
Shams
Nah,
has the
I'm just saying,
connections
like
with
he's
the
saying
agents,
Jimmy
and
Butler
Woj
said he
had the
wants to come to the
connection with the
Nets.
front
That's not
offices.
true. Shams said that.
Woj has always had the connections with the front offices. Shams
I don't
has
care
always
about
had the
Woj.
connections with the
You
agents
said
and
Jimmy
the
Butler
players.
said he wants to come to the Nets. That's not true.
He
I
had it
think
on his
it's a
preferred list
negotiating
at the
ploy.
He never
beginning of
said
the
that. He
season.
never said that.
Okay,
That's how he gets
and
his
Adam
money
Silver
up.
never said that he doesn't like the Brooklyn Nets to be a top 3 pick. So look at that. You just canceled out 2 stupid opinions. I mean, like, what are we?
Your opinion is, Jimmy Butler comes to the Nets.
Jimmy Butler was physically rumored to have shown interest in Brooklyn because of their cap space situation next season. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so Jimmy Butler wants to go play with Cam
brings
Thomas.
the ruckus, man.
You know what?
So Jimmy Butler wants to go play with Cam Thomas. That's what he's trying to say.
Then the Brooklyn Nets have the best chance of a top 3 pick because it's right.
Jimmy Butler probably would want to go to the team with the most cap space, but he doesn't want to stay. As soon as the Nets continue
That's what I'm saying. He wants to win a championship. Bro. You think? Hold on, LB. You think he gonna win a championship with Cam Thomas? What's that gonna give us?
No way.
Nobody wants him here. Nobody wants him here. Not a single one of us wants him.
And that was confirmed recently that he doesn't fit their timeline. There was a source that came out that said the Nets are not looking at him right now.
Y'all really think our young players is ready for the playoffs? None of these dudes on this team is ready.
The most money. That's what he wants.
You think that any of these players are ready to play in a playoff series outside of Cam Thomas?
None of them. Not a single one. Only Cam Thomas. That's it.
Cam Thomas isn't even ready.
Here's what I want to say, right? So I want to bring in either Ingram or Zion, whatever one the Pelicans are done with, right? I'm not even sure I want to bring in Zion, but I do want to bring in Ingram. That's something I do want to do. If Ingram, he's not old. What is he, 27, 28? So
28.
Okay, you got 4 more years of him at least. If he was in this draft class, where would he be drafted?
Not even top 5.
Like top 10, 11,
yeah,
12.
Okay, bro. Yeah, they capping, bro. Like
he's
a talented player.
He's a talented player, bro.
That is a fact.
He's a very
talented. That's not a fact because I haven't played in the NBA yet, Dylan. You might like him better.
Cooper Flag is defensively better than Brandon Ingram, man.
No, he's not. No, he is not.
Ingram plays no defense. What defense does Ingram play? Find me defensive video where Ingram plays elite defense. Come on.
Show you all the defense, bro. You don't even watch. Hold on. Hold on. This is how you know Jonathan's a liar, bro. Just live stream on BK's channel, he said he didn't even know who Misi was. So that proves that you don't even watch the Pelicans.
He's a rookie. Oh my God, he's a rookie.
So you want to bring in
Pelicans are 5-20. What are you talking about?
Guys, one at a time.
Gary,
go ahead, LB.
Ingram is a free agent this year.
Yeah.
So you want to take the money that we released from Ben Simmons, right? And you want to use that to sign Ingram. That's what you're saying.
I would love that. Would be a home run for me. Yeah.
And what I would say is, if we do that, right? And we still got to sign Cam Thomas though.
Cam Thomas for sure. Yeah.
So then that's gonna probably be the rest of the money, right? The $70 million.
Well, I mean, you could sign Cam. Cam Thomas not gonna get no $200 million deal, bro. So you could sign him to what, like $100 million?
He's getting 26 to 30 million potentially.
30 million. He's gonna get at least 30.
I don't see it happening.
He's getting paid more than Nick Claxton. That's a fact.
What's he making now? So you're gonna have.
I think he'll be like 120. 120. Like
he's going to get 4 years. He's going to get like a 4-year, 130 to 140.
If you get rid of Cam Johnson and you get rid of Doe, well, Doe's gone.
Okay, I got you.
You've got $100 million worth of cap space. I'm suggesting spending 70 of it roughly, 40 on Ingram and 30 on.
All right, so you're locking down a player that's a third option. You're going to draft a guy potentially,
but we still need to be in the lottery next year. That's what I'm saying.
That's my point. You have to be top 10 in next year's draft as well.
Yeah. So I don't mind it. I don't mind
getting Brandon Ingram doesn't even guarantee you're going to make the play.
The only way that you can accelerate the process is if a guy like De'Aaron Fox or Giannis specifically is eyeing us. That is the only way that I would be okay with passing up on the 26th draft class. But until then, draft in the next 2.
If one of those stars
dudes won't win now situations. If
one of those stars are eyeing us, right, Giannis or whoever, now we have a trade piece for him. We could put Ingram in that trade.
Ingram's not You don't sign a guy to a 4-year deal to throw him around the trade market.
That makes no sense. Yeah, that makes no sense. That makes no sense, man. How does it make sense? Why would I sign a guy to trade him if he's so good?
We just signed Nick Claxton to a 4-year deal. You want to trade Nick Claxton for anyone who will take him? Okay, next, Dylan. When Giannis becomes available, that changes the calculus. I don't think you can get Giannis, but you're only going to be able to get Giannis if you have a good team. He's not going to go to a team
exactly
that sucks because they have a bunch of draft picks. You have to be good.
You need assets. Wait, Gary. You need assets to make a star when it comes to your team. Look at the Suns right now. They have zero assets to work with, and now they're trying to dangle Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler. Like they have nothing to offer a team.
Hold on, Jonathan. This is where you don't listen. Let me rebuttal. Nobody's disagreeing with you about you have to have assets to go get a star. Cool. You can have the assets to go get.
That's why we're an attractive market, DJ, because we have a lot of assets to work with.
Jonathan, listen, bro, because all you do is talk, bro.
No, I'm giving you facts now.
You can't go out and say, "Oh, I have the assets, so I'm guaranteed to get a star." Your team
eventually. I'm not saying next year, but in 2 to 3 years, yes, we can get a star.
Jonathan,
2 to 3 years.
Jonathan, listen to what I'm saying, bro. If you're a bad team, what makes you believe that these stars are clamoring to go play with bad teams?
If your prospects work out, stars want to play with prospects that work out and become stars themselves.
I can give you a few list of players: Giannis, Brandon Ingram, and what's old boy from the De'Aaron Fox. They want win now situations, bro. They're not looking to go play with young teams and start over.
Okay, so KD and Kyrie.
So you don't think Coach Jordan can coach? So you don't think Coach Jordan can coach star talent, DJ? You don't think Jordan can coach star talent?
Jonathan, I didn't say that. I'm saying your team. You're looking at one player to get it done.
He's a building piece, right? You need building pieces to make stars want to come play with you, right?
Though, he doesn't want to start over and just wait and build up, bro. He doesn't want to do that. He wants a ready now situation.
So then why did he put him
So any star that comes here, it'll take 4 to 5 years.
The preferred destination. Why did his
you believe anything you see on the internet, don't you?
So do you. You just told me that Adam Silver has connections that says that they don't want Brooklyn.
I didn't say Adam Silver said that. You're lying, bro. I said his employees, bro.
What employees? I want names at this point.
His employees don't.
I can show you the article. bro.
You can show.
I want names.
I could show you 7 different articles that I've posted on my Nets page that shows Giannis and his circle.
And I can show you the videos
Brooklyn and Miami,
bro. This was last summer, so I have no reason to lie.
And this was lying. This was 2
you don't believe anything you see. Those are trade rumors. I'm talking about actual people.
Dylan, I think it's possible that Giannis would be interested in playing for Brooklyn. I do.
It was the same reason that KD and Kyrie was showing interest in Brooklyn.
We had good role players. We were winning, bro.
They had the most cap. They
don't get it, bro. They don't get it.
You're talking about role players that were traded for James Harden. So what are you talking about?
And no, at the time when we got KD,
they were.
We already told you why KD and Kyrie came here.
Playoff team at that point. This team.
They were a first round sweep as the 8th seed.
It doesn't matter. We had success. Hold on. We still had some type of success with that young team, bro. We haven't had no type. We've been missing the
playoffs. They barely made it into the playoffs.
But regardless of the fact they saw actually that roster with those young players. We made the playoffs. We're cool. We lost. Okay, cool. We lost.
We didn't lose. We got swept. Just like
we didn't get swept, Dylan. I got to stop. We won game 1. We beat Philly in game 1. We got swept the next year in the bubble. And
apologies. We were gentlemen swept and got fisted.
We were gentlemen swept. Yeah.
No. Okay. Regardless of how you want to say we got swept, we got beat in the first round. Cool. Okay, we lost. But that team, those groups of role players is 1,000 times better than this group of young core.
1,000 times.
Because we don't have the pieces right now, gentlemen. That's why you got to draft.
Jonathan, that's my hold on. Jonathan, can I ask you a question? If you were Giannis, right? Hold on. Let's do it like this. If you Giannis Antetokounmpo, bro, you just won a championship. What? 2021, 2022? No, yeah, 2021.
You won a fake ring.
You really telling me that you're gonna go play with the Nets, a team with Cam Thomas, Claxton? You have no spacing.
Well, you're going to have to use whatever remaining cap space you have to add pieces, right?
So you
wouldn't just make the move for Giannis alone.
The Nets can match salaries for Giannis. Give them the draft capital that they want, and still go out of their way to sign a free agent.
Well, DJ, Giannis didn't need a KD, Kyrie, or Steph to win the title for the Bucks, right? So maybe he doesn't want to work with star talent.
What I'm saying is, Jonathan, you making it seem like these players are going to want to wait. Because it doesn't take building a roster doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
I agree, and it's probably going to take us at least 2 years to get all of our prospects together, and then maybe an extra year to see how it works. Maybe
he's not going to want to wait. He's going to want to play with already a star on your team.
Nobody's saying to get him this offseason.
I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example, like the Warriors, right? He's going to go if he axes out. He's going to want to play for a guy. He's going to want to play with a Steph. You see what I'm saying? Like he wants to play with a dude that's already ready now, bro. He's not going to want to play with a bunch of young dudes. That's not going to get him nowhere.
The Warriors not get him nowhere. Their depth is bad. You get Giannis a team. What depth do they have left?
Not going to get you nowhere when you have Steph Curry.
You're gonna
Hold on
have
a
to trade
second.
Kuminga. You're gonna have to
Hold on.
trade Kuminga, Pazinski. You have to trade all your young pieces to get Giannis on the team right now,
But
and we're
Johnny,
gonna have just
regard-
minimum
okay, I can
salary
give you-
vets.
I can give
Didn't
you- I
LeBron
can give you
leave to go
another
play
team,
with
right?
Kyrie Irving? Didn't
Hold on, I
LeBron
can give you another
leave to go
team,
play
right?
with Kyrie Irving?
Say if
I'll
it's
tell you
a
this.
Dallas, right? Say if you want to go play with a Luka Doncic. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm giving you like ready now situations, bro. Like situations where it's like a ready now play.
Okay, and how many
Golden
ready now
State.
teams have the draft capital and cap space to go
No,
out?
I'm not
say
saying
Golden
no.
State
I
would
get what
be-
you're saying. I get what you're saying. They don't have the
Golden
draft
State
capital.
would be idiots though if they didn't trade.
But Giannis is
Kuminga
not gonna
and,
just say, "Oh, I'm gonna play with the
and-
Nets" because they
and
have the
those
cap.
young
Yeah, but
guys
LBL,
for
they only
Giannis.
have minimum salary vets
Yeah,
at
Here
the
you
in
go. I
Giannis
would
and
go. Hold on a
Curry.
second.
If I
Hold
was
on a
Golden
second.
State, if I were
Superstars
Golden
don't
State,
look
I'd
at
do that
oh
in a
they have the
heartbeat.
draft capital, so I'm gonna go play with them. They don't do that. They look at
Here
who's
you
their
go.
stars,
Here you go.
who's their best
Spurs
players.
CBS Sports. Giannis could force his way out of Milwaukee. This is on October 31st. In quotes, there's a rising sense of confidence that if things
Did
go
Giannis
badly
say
in
this?
Milwaukee, can I finish? There's a rising sense of confidence that if things go badly in Milwaukee, that Giannis could be available for trade. Would really force his way out of Milwaukee in the next year. That's in quotes. Next post that I put out, which is from the same article. Giannis has listed Brooklyn and Miami as his potential preferred destinations if he does demand a trade from Milwaukee.
Show me
In
Giannis
quotes,
saying this.
In quotes, I'm told Giannis Antetokounmpo has already let some people know that places he's eyeing are Miami and New York. The other New York, I'm told it's the Nets and not the Knicks that he has his eye on. If he decides that he wants to move. That's the exact quote that was put on ESPN.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna
in
see.
video.
Yeah,
Go
keep
find
dreaming.
the clip.
Hang on, but
Keep
let-
dreaming.
I read a similar
let me-
article
Give me
with
some
Dylan
reasons.
Let me address
disappointed.
it. Let me ask you a question.
So Gary, cap space
Let-
and draft capital is the reason why Giannis wants to play for the Nets.
I can't personally see it, but let me ask you this question. You still need to trade for him. What is the package that you're giving to Miami that makes them make that trade?
Nick Claxton,
What you have.
Day'Ron Sharp, Tariq Whitehead, 6 first-round picks. There you go. You have 3 young players to
That's
build
not
around
even
and
a good
draft
trade,
They're
capital.
not
bro.
making that trade.
They're not making
making
that trade, bro.
What else
For
are
the
they thinking?
draft
What does
capital,
Miami
they
have?
would.
What does
For the draft
Miami have?
capital, they would make the trade.
You said
I
for
don't
Giannis,
think
right?
so.
Jonathan?
They need an
Gary?
immediate player.
Milwaukee
they need
is
an
not a team
immediate
that lands
starter.
free agents.
Wait,
Milwaukee's
Gary,
not a
you
team
name
that lands
said
one
free
you said a
agents.
starter.
trade. You said a
So they're
trade
going to
for
need draft
Milwaukee.
capital. It's a similar
Yeah,
trade to what we
a
gave
trade
up
that
Karis
Milwaukee
LeVert.
would
Or, I'm sorry, for
consider
James Harden.
trading.
So we talking about Giannis, right? So a trade
one
for
of the
Giannis.
greatest players that's ever lived. One of the greatest power
Yeah,
forwards
they're
of all
not, they're
time.
not taking that deal, bro.
They're
That's
also
gotta
Giannis.
at
talking about a
least get
team that
back
also
a
has 4
starter.
first-round picks in this
That's
year's draft
Giannis
class. They'd probably be
Antetokounmpo,
adding
bro.
2 more players in that deal from this draft class.
Once again, Dylan, that is Giannis, bro. I'm not
You
taking
gotta
pennies.
at least
Okay,
get
and
back
tell me
a
what the package
starter,
was for
too.
fucking James Harden. James Harden and Giannis were the
Okay,
same
that's
team
James
around the
Harden. We talking
perimeter.
about Giannis.
We
James
gave up
Harden is
Jared
not
Allen,
Giannis.
Karis LeVert, and Spencer Dinwiddie. A bunch of fucking boners. We gave up a
All
bunch
of
of
those
mediocre
guys,
players.
all of those
All
guys
those guys are
better
winning.
than what
So,
you just named. Like I love
Nick
Day'Ron Sharpe.
Claxton and
Jared
Jared
Allen's
Allen
10
up
times
until
the player
last year
Jared
were
Allen.
pretty
Jared
similar
Allen is
value.
better than Claxton. He's always been better than Claxton.
He's way better than Claxton.
They
He's
were
way
very
better than
similar.
Day'Ron
They
Sharpe.
were very similar.
No,
in
they
value
was not
until-
similar.
They
They
were very
weren't
similar in
similar.
value until
No, they was not
he made an
similar.
All-Star game.
Yeah, I
They were
watched
very
Jared Allen
similar.
because he was in college. Jared Allen was like, you watched him, he's like, that is a dominant defensive
Jared
player.
Allen actually gives you
Yeah.
offense too now.
There's not
Like,
a
for the
Yeah,
past,
single
plus
hold
he
on.
developed
For
There's
the
not a
past,
single
for the
team
past 3
outside of
seasons, he's been
OKC
giving
that
you
can give a
offense.
better
So what are you
offer.
talking about?
There's not a single team in basketball outside of OKC that can give a better offer for Giannis, and they haven't even shown interest in him. The point
Right,
is you
right.
have
That's not
you
true.
have low.
Well, look,
Can I just
look,
can I,
look, the
hold on?
Knicks
Can I just
could
finish
give a
one?
better offer.
Can I just finish one thing without getting interrupted?
Knicks have nothing to
ridiculous.
offer.
You have 4
The who?
first-round picks in this year's draft. You're probably giving 2 of those players up in that deal. You have young talent currently on the team that you can offer up, plus Nick Claxton as a salary filler, plus 6
But they're
first-round
not
picks.
good.
That deal gets it done 9 times out of 10. That's
I
the
think
exact
Golden
same deal
State
that we
is
pretty
better.
much gave up for James Harden. The
The
difference
Warriors
is
would
Houston was
crush.
still trying to compete a little bit.
I would take
I-
the Warriors package.
I
bro.
think.
What's the
getting
Warriors package?
Kuminga,
Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew
Kuminga,
Wiggins, and 2
Moody.
first-round picks?
Moody. They actually have a couple
Yeah.
first round
They
picks.
have
But that's
three
all
tradable-
your young
they have
depth.
three
Wait,
tradable-
I think
guys,
they got
that's
like
all
5
your
first
young
round
depth
picks.
though
They have
for
3 tradable
Giannis.
first-round picks.
I think they got 4 or 5 first round picks.
They
and a bunch
have
of
they
seconds.
have 3 tradable first-round picks. 2 of them
Yeah.
are swap-worthy. The difference is you want to
But they
build
have better.
You want to
But my
go to a
point is,
rebuilding
hold on.
team.
I'm
You
not
think
talking about
Milwaukee
the draft
as a
capital.
rebuilding team
Hold on,
wants
hold
to
on.
pay Jonathan Kuminga
That
30
wasn't
plus
that wasn't
million?
my point. That's what he was saying.
John,
I'm saying
DJ, let him finish. I'll let you go, but I want to hear what Dylan. I'll let you rebuttal him, but let me hear the rest of Dylan's point.
No, I'm just saying, what makes you think that a team like Milwaukee is going to want to pay Jonathan Kuminga $30 million to rebuild? They're not going to do that. They're going to want young prospects
would.
plus picks.
Kuminga's is nice.
I mean,
But
who
go
else
ahead,
would you
DJ.
have? You don't have anybody.
What do you mean we don't have anybody? Derek
No, I'm not
Whitehead,
talking
we have
about
4
us. I'm saying
first-round picks in
Milwaukee.
this year's draft. You have
I'm
4
saying
first-round
no, you're
picks
not
in
listening,
one
bro. I'm
draft
saying
class. You're going to give up 2 of those.
if that happened, if the Warriors like somehow get Giannis and then Milwaukee got Kuminga, I mean, you're gonna have to pay Kuminga, bro.
Yeah.
How are you taking Kuminga? How? You're picking a player who's making $30+ million potentially for the next 4 years
How much
to
is
rebuild.
Bobby Portis making? Isn't he making?
Bobby Portis
20
is
million?
making $12.5 million.
But that's what I'm
It's on a
saying. But
one-year deal, I think.
and he's twice as good. So that's what I'm saying.
Kuminga's twice as good. He's barely able to start in Golden State.
What are you talking, bro?
Kuminga doesn't start in Golden State because the dynamic with him and Wiggins doesn't work. It's not because he's not.
No,
good
he
enough.
was
It's
bad
because-
at the beginning of the season. Remember, he had like
It's
10
not-
points
No, he
against
wasn't.
two bottom barrel
Yo,
teams.
Hold on. This
Yes,
how
he
you know
was.
that. I
Excuse,
already
he can
explained
barely
this to
start in
Jonathan.
Golden State.
Steve
If
Kerr
he can barely
explained
start
why.
there,
Hold
why
on,
should
and
he
he
be
was
getting
starting.
paid
He has
$30
been
million?
starting. He starts and comes off the bench sometimes, bro. Him and Wiggins just don't mesh together, bro. It's only one basketball.
Okay, and again, why are we making excuses? He still does not play well
What
in
I'm
Golden
saying
State.
is,
Why would
does
it?
play
Why
well.
would it?
he
Just,
has the
just riddle me
potential to
this.
be a
Riddle
star
me this.
in a
Why
small
would a
market
rebuilding
like
team
Milwaukee.
want to
If
pay a
anything,
player
Wiggins is the
$30
problem.
million?
Wiggins
Why
is
would a
actually
rebuilding
the
team
problem.
want to pay a player $30 million when they can pay
Regardless of how
five
you feel
guys
about
in a
combined
small
$30
market-
million that are
everybody on the
drafted
Nets.
and young and on cheap
Because in a
contracts?
small market, paying.
Thank you, DJ. Kuminga is
Listen.
5 times better than anyone on this Nets roster.
That's what I'm
He's
saying,
better
bro.
than-
So-
he's
so-
better
so
than-
the
But
Nets-
why is he
hold on,
playing
hold on.
off the bench if he's so
But
damn
Gary,
good?
DJ,
Hold on. So
John,
wait,
you
hold
know
on. You're
that's
telling me
what
they're
I'm
going to take
saying is-
Kuminga to rebuild for $30 million when they
No.
can have
This man keeps
four
talking
young
about
No,
why does
what
he
I'm
come off the
saying
bench.
is-
We
combined $30
explained to you
million.
Hang on,
why.
one at a time. Dylan, what's your question? What's your question, Dylan?
I'm saying you're telling me Milwaukee's taking one player who has not even proven
No,
a
it's
damn
not
thing
one.
in this league yet. It's Jonathan Kuminga. Moses Moody fucking blows.
What?
He's a role player.
No, he
doesn't
doesn't.
suck.
He's
got-
a
he
role
doesn't suck.
player. They
And they're
wasted
taking,
him. He is a
Okay,
role player.
okay. And
And they're
Jalen Wilson
taking
and all these other dudes
Brian
on our team,
Podesta-
isn't?
Tariq Whitehead has more potential than Moses Moody at this point in his career. Yes.
Oh my God, he's capping.
Moses
that came and
Moody
get out
is
the
a better
G
Tariq
League.
player
Whitehead
by
was
a
projected
mile
to be
than
a
A
Jalen
top
dude
eight
that
Wilson.
pick
came in,
until
hold
he
on,
got injured.
Gary, a dude that came and get out the G League.
All right, this is how you know you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. He requested to stay in the G League. Read a fucking
Exactly, because
article.
he knows
It's
he's
not hard.
buns. He knows
Read a
he's
fucking
buns.
article.
He knows
It's
he's
not
buns.
hard. It's
He
not
knows he's
hard.
buns.
He
We
requested to
talked
stay in
about
the G
yesterday.
League because he
He
wanted
knows
to
he's
build up
buns.
his
That's
value.
why he's in the G League.
No,
He knows he's
he
buns.
requested to stay in the G League because
Exactly
he
my
wants more
point.
reps,
Dylan,
so this
Dylan,
way he
listen
can
again.
get fully healthy.
He knows he's buns.
Read
so he
an
requested
article.
to stay in the G League.
Eric Slater just posted it. If you want to link Twitter me, do whatever you need. Read
He
a
I
knows
tried to
he's
say that-
trash. That's why
DJ,
he's
hang
staying
on,
in the G League.
hang on for a second. I'll
That's
let you
just
respond. I said this
blasphemy.
yesterday. Tariq Whitehead has been playing quite well the last 2 games.
Okay, that's
with
the
Long
G
Island
League.
Nets. I understand it's the G League.
He put up
I'm
18
just
against
saying
the
he
Bulls
has
in his
played well.
first
He
game of
played
the
That's
better.
one game.
Yep, one game. It's and it's a sample size. So
But
that
that's
sample
not
size
a
showed that
That's
he
not
played
a
well.
sample size. What has he
But
done
see,
in
the
the
point
NBA?
of them taking Golden State's
Talking about one
is-
game. That's not a
The,
sample
the
size.
point of them taking
Okay,
Golden
wait, hold on
State's
a second.
offer
Again,
is
can we
because
mute a mic for a
Kuminga-
second? Because I don't think you people understand what the fuck Milwaukee's trying to do. They don't own their own picks. New Orleans does. So you're telling me they're going to take less
I'd rather
draft
be
capital
Milwaukee than us.
and one player that's going to get overpaid? That's what you're telling me they're going to take over 4 or 5 potential prospects plus Nick Claxton plus 5 to 6 first-round picks? That's what
That's
you're
a
telling me
fair
they're
point.
taking.
Dylan, that's a fair point. That's a good argument. DJ,
I think the
how
point
would you
is,
respond
but
to
I
that?
think the point is, out of all of the players that you mentioned from the Nets and the players from
We're not comparing
Golden
players.
State. No,
We're
we have
comparing
to.
draft capital. You're
we
comparing
have to.
draft capital.
No, we have to compare.
No, you do
players.
not.
Yes, you
You,
do.
what are you
You
talking
do.
about? You do
To be
not. You
fair,
just
Dylan,
compared
to be
it.
fair,
You
you
just
don't
said
know
Derek
what-
Whitehead
you
is
don't
better
know
than
what-
Moses Moody. You compared it.
Derek, I
No,
said
we
Derek
do
Whitehead
have
has
to
more
compare
potential
players
at this
because-
point in their
Mike,
careers
because-
than Moses Moody.
You don't know what you don't know what Milwaukee values. You don't know if Milwaukee values players or draft capital. So you know what I'm saying? You don't know what they're looking for. Not every team wants 1,000 picks. Some teams want players because players help you win. Draft picks may or may not help you win sometime down the road. Players help you win now.
Gary, you know we're a new
players
CBA
have helped
era,
Milwaukee
Gary, where
win?
draft capital kind of does matter, but okay. You're entitled to your
no,
what
opinion.
no,
player
well,
in
Gary,
Milwaukee
you don't listen,
history,
Gary,
outside
give me a
of Kareem
chance to make a
Abdul-Jabbar, has
point.
won
Give
them
me a chance to
anything
make a point.
Go ahead,
by not
Albie,
being
get in there.
drafted?
What I'm saying
player
is
in
the
Milwaukee
reason.
has not been drafted
But
there
listen,
that's helped them make a playoff run outside of
Listen,
Giannis.
this is what I'm saying. Sometimes teams, especially a small market team like Milwaukee, they're happy with their chip. They'd rather keep Giannis, but if they can't keep Giannis and he's demanding out, the reason that they want Kuminga is because, and yeah, they might pay him 35, 40 million, but he's going to be their 20-point scorer for the next 5 or 10 years or whatever. And they'll be happy with that.
And they'll
because
have
that's
nothing
the
to draft
going
with
rate.
because New
No, I'm
Orleans
saying they
owns
won't
their
have a
picks.
championship.
So they're going to
They
be
won't
ass.
have a championship for sure. But
They'll still
some
be able to make
teams-
moves to go get
But
drafted.
yeah, but some
No, they're
teams
not.
don't-
With what draft
No, but what I'm saying.
Two
But
Golden
some
State
teams,
firsts.
No,
but
I'm
you
saying
gotta
no,
remember.
trade other dudes.
But
You can go
remember,
get, you can
teams
get
are not
picks for
only
them.
in
Okay,
it
so they'll
just
have to
for the
attach
chip.
picks to Chris Middleton.
Guys,
Damian
let
Lillard's
LB,
37.
guys, Dylan, let LB finish his point.
What
I
I'm
give
saying
everyone a
is,
shot. LB, finish your point.
because they're a small market and they won their chip, sometimes they're just happy to have a decent, okay, middling team with a star on it. Like Kuminga could be a 20-point a game star, and they'll be happy with that, and they'll just wait until those draft picks in the future. And I'm saying everybody doesn't want to really win the chip. And that's what I'm saying. They're not there for that. They're going to be happy
not a realistic
with their
goal, right? Yeah,
they're going to be happy with their
All right,
team
so
share
so
money.
so then
That's
so
what
then
I'm
okay.
saying.
When was the last time you saw a trade of a low market team trading a top 3 MVP candidate? When was the last time? It was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'll give you the answer. It's the same caliber of market as Milwaukee.
Why don't
OKC is the same caliber market as Milwaukee. What did they take?
See, I like how you changed that. You said
what did they
top
take?
3 caliber. You didn't say an MVP. Let's talk about MVPs. Period.
Giannis isn't winning MVP this year. He's top 3.
No, I'm
right
talking
now.
about he's won the MVP.
But he won
Okay,
an
he won
MVP.
an
a lot of
MVP.
guys that
Paul
win
George
the
was top 3 in
MVP, so
MVP.
it's like how many guys actually win
So
the
Talking as if he
MVP?
didn't win the
cannot
MVP.
The
compare
point
NBA
of
to
it,
him.
what you're missing is that
We
you
cannot
have
That was his.
compare
That was
NBA to him.
LBO's point. He won the MVP though, regardless.
OKC and Milwaukee have similar markets. They are both small market organizations. What package did OKC take for Paul George?
Paul
A
George
shit ton of
never won
first
an
round picks
MVP
and
either.
a bunch of good prospects. That's what they took.
Well, a lot of MVPs get traded. Russell Westbrook got traded. James Harden got traded. Like they get
KD.
traded.
KD left.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
KD
every package in
got
those, they take
traded, I
5 to
guess.
6
Yeah.
firsts, and they take
Well, no, he
young
didn't get
players.
traded. He left.
I mean, he got traded from the Nets. The Nets traded him for Cam Johnson and Bridges.
And a lot of draft capital.
No, I'm
And
talking about with
6, yeah,
OKC.
and 5 first round picks.
No, Gary. What I'm saying is with OKC, they dismantled all of that. So
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Oh, you talking about okay? Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But he's been traded.
but
Since then.
what I'm saying is everybody's not in it to win. Some teams are just in it to get out of a bad situation. They may not want to pay.
win a couple
like,
games. Yeah.
I mean, to me, the best thing for Milwaukee is to keep that one star, have them, and if you never win again in 5 more years, so what? You have Giannis retiring.
But you're talking as a fan. Giannis doesn't want to
No,
be
I'm not
there
talking
for that
as a
long.
fan. I'm talking about as a franchise person.
Organization,
Who would say,
yeah.
The organization
because
but
you
the
don't have to.
organization
Hold on.
can want to keep
Dylan,
them all
that's
they
his
want,
point,
and
though.
at the end of the day, if a star demands a trade, they're going to get it 9 times out of 10. Look at KD, look at Kyrie, look at James
But Giannis
Harden.
isn't the type to demand a trade.
Giannis has I just read you the article.
Anyone
It was right
can
from
But that
CNN.
doesn't- that's not what
If
Giannis
If
said.
Sean
I
Marks is
literally-
your GM and a
I
role player
literally
demands a
just
trade,
read
you
the
get
article
traded
where
too.
it says that if Milwaukee
Giannis,
does
hold on.
bad this year,
Giannis,
that they are
okay, cool.
going to
Giannis
demand
all
a
year has
trade.
been saying he wants to win. Of course, he wants to be competitive, but he's not saying like I'm gonna come out and request a trade. And that's not.
KD
that's not
never
what he's
said
gonna
that
do.
he was going to come out and request a trade, and guess what? We
Not
woke up
unless
on a
they
random
lose. If
morning
they
and
keep losing for the
requested a
next
trade.
2 years, how many years has Dame got on his contract?
Dame's got
Dame's got a $60 million option coming up next year. So if they don't win this year,
So
why
how
would
many
the Bucks
years he
want
got?
to
He
pay
got 2
Dame
years, right? This
$60
year, next
million?
year.
2 years. You think
So
Giannis is
yeah,
going to sit
I mean,
there
if they
taking first
hold
round
on,
losses?
I
for the
can
next
agree
2
with
years?
you, Dylan, when you say Giannis like will request a trade if he says like okay, the next 2 years, however long his contract is, he will request a trade if they keep losing. Of course,
I said this last year that he was going to request a trade within 2 years. We are now at the full 1 year mark.
I don't think
We're
it's going to be
already
this year.
hearing
I think it'll be. I think if
If it's going to
depends on
happen,
how
it's
far
going
they
to be in
get
the
into the
offseason.
playoffs.
If
I'm
it's
just
going
saying.
to happen,
I think it's going to be depending on how far he gets. Like if he gets bounced out in the first round again, then he might request a trade.
That's my point,
Well,
though, is they
but
don't
that's
have
what
the
it's
draft
building up
capital.
to,
But
though,
that doesn't mean it's going to be
They
to the
don't have
Nets.
the
Why would
cap
you?
space.
Hold up.
But I'm not
But-
saying that it's just going to be the Nets. The point is that I'm saying it's going to happen at some point.
I just don't see
and
how
the
the
Nets
Nets
have
is
a
a
top
realistic
2
option,
package
bro.
in basketball for him. Golden State does
Well-
it. Miami doesn't. The only 2 teams that are in competition for Giannis is Brooklyn and OKC. Those are the only
Who's
2
Giannis
teams
going to be
that
playing
have.
with over here on the if he comes to the Nets? Who you going to be playing with?
Oh,
Because
I'm sorry.
nobody
Cam
over here
Thomas,
is
potentially a
nobody
top
on this
3
team is
pick.
better than
If
Damian
not,
Lillard.
yeah, hold on.
I'm going to say
You're
this.
talking about
A lot of
potentially
times
sending
we
out.
don't. A lot
Can
of
I
times
actually?
we don't
Can I
know
ever?
who's
You asked me a
in
question. I'm
play.
trying to finish.
A lot of times we don't know who's in play until
Yes,
the
fuck the
last
question.
minute, and they're in play. Like nobody expected Kawhi to go to Toronto. You know what I'm saying? It happened. Toronto won, right? So a lot of times it may be set
But
up.
they've had good players.
But that's
Pascal
what I'm,
Siakam was like 3 years in his career, and he was a mediocre star. Like he was
And
on the
like
borderline of a
27th
star.
pick. We didn't know.
And then
Siakam was
you
gonna
had
be-
OG, you had Fred Van. I'm not
OG,
Fred
I
Van,
think,
Kyle
was a
Lowry.
rookie that year.
You had Kyle. No, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
say
Kyle
Fred Van. I
Lowry
meant Kyle Lowry.
was their star.
Yeah,
And
you
they
had
Lowry
you
and
had
DeRozan.
Thickums on the
traded-
team.
But they
you
were
had Fred
going. They
VanVleet.
were going deep in the playoff second round. every year. Like you could tell that was a team that was getting close.
On
And they
the
got
rise.
Yeah, that was a good team.
Kawhi,
There was a
who had one
good
of the
team
best
before Kawhi.
postseasons
It was also
ever.
a weak East.
Oh,
But
come
that's
on, bro.
okay. Yeah, exactly. I can get through the East because the East is weak. I don't have to go through murderer's row like I have to in the
Giannis
West.
don't
Like,
fit here, bro. We don't got
that's
no
a
space.
feature, not a bug, that the East is weak. Like if I want to get traded, like that's why LeBron wanted to stay in the East. That's why, because it's easier to get through the East. I don't
Yeah,
have to
and
go
ever since
through
he left, look at him now, Gary.
it's all right, guys. I appreciate that. I gotta wrap this up. I was supposed to end this 15 minutes ago. I really gotta wrap this up.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
everyone
Gary.
hopping
Thanks,
on.
everyone.
Have a good one, Gary.
Happy
Dylan,
holidays.
Have a
DJ,
good one,
LB,
everybody.
John, of course.
Yeah, yeah, Jonathan,
appreciate-
you scrub, bro.
You did get cooked, DJ.
Nah, you get cooked every night, bro.
Okay, have a
Every
good
day.
one, fellas.
Nah, I cooked you pretty good last night.
Yeah, John,
So
you on the
long,
best, bro.
guys.
Be good, y'all.
What a show.